All right, that was Brahma's first time seeing our intro.
I
That was
think.
that was that was nicely made.
Is that
Uh
Tom
no, by Mad. It was
doing
Mad.
the singing?
I guess.
It
I
sounds
think he
like
did.
Tom.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe
I think it might have been Tom.
I genuinely don't know. It came from Mad.
Yeah.
And it was, and then I was like, okay, that's much better than the standard, because I got crap for using the standard StreamYard's countdown video. Because, like, of course, the YouTuber is not gonna let me slide with that. So,
Not going to use YouTube tools.
so yeah, so he made that, and we've been using it. And then I would say thank you to Mad for giving it to us, and then Slender told me I needed to stop doing that. And the first time I stopped is when Mad came in. It
It's
was,
like, what the hell?
you're ungrateful bastards.
I
That's
expect my thanks.
so. All right, I'm sure. Hopefully, everybody who's in chat and watching is gonna appreciate. We got some fun stuff tonight. We are like everybody else this week who's on YouTube in our sphere enjoyed the dumpster fire that was Madam Web. And I'll say, if you go in expecting it to be one of the most awful movies you've ever seen, you're going to be perfectly happy with how you come out because it met expectations. So,
Yes.
See, I disagree. I feel like it didn't live up to the hype.
you thought Dakota Johnson's line delivery didn't live up to the hype? Oh, so
No,
terrible.
I honestly I went in there thinking it was going to be a lot worse than it turned out to be. It was bad. Don't get me wrong, it was bad, but it wasn't bad enough that I enjoyed it.
Oh, I didn't enjoy any second of it.
Exactly.
It wasn't so bad that it was funny. It was just bad.
Which
Yeah.
is why as I'm saying, it didn't live up to the hype for me. Um, in all honesty, the easiest way for me to give a spoiler-free description of how I felt about that movie. Um, have you ever watched a movie where you're really into it, you're fully immersed, and then something stupid happens and it breaks your immersion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what happened with this movie. What happened with this movie was I was drifting, I was zoning out, I almost forgot I was watching the movie. Then something stupid happened and reminded me I was watching the movie, and that pissed me off.
I can see that.
Like, I would have rather just been zoned out, but some stupid line is delivered in the worst possible way. Or the fucking jump scares, right? Like they knew their movie was so bad at holding the attention of the audience that they put jump scares in it.
I didn't notice him, but it may have been because I was working while I was watching it.
Oh,
They
did you
they
ride the
do
high
these
seas
really
to enjoy
hard
Madam
cut
Web,
Oh,
Brahma?
hell
Or
yeah.
they do these really hard cut camera shifts and a loud noise at the same time. And I shit you not, it is the jump scare formula from video games. Um, just to try and get your attention back in the movie, I guess.
let me acknowledge, I think this is from Brahma's channel. Hey, Keely, John over there. Thanks for coming in. Yep, I don't want to miss chat coming in from the other channel. That would be, something you might get like rude comments left on your YouTube live chat for doing. So let's make sure we say that. So, hey, it's looking like we're getting a good amount of viewers out of your channel, which you were wondering how many would be coming in on your side. I think you're definitely looking at the numbers. We've got about, it's telling us we got like 16 people watching, and it says we've got about three or four on ours going up and down. So they're coming
Weird.
from over there. On the plus side for Slender, Bride of Slender is watching via our channel, which would have been awkward if she had clicked on Brahma's one. So
This
that's
time.
good. That's good. So good job, good job there.
She is doing it right then.
Yes,
I will not have to issue any corrections.
no corrections. Oh, I love that line from The Shining. She needs to be corrected. Your wife is starting to question things. She needs to be corrected. Uh-oh. Look at this. Look at Keely coming in.
Keely's made the jump over.
Made the jump over. Thank you. That was appreciated. Yeah, so you know what The Shining had that Madam Web didn't?
Charisma.
Coherent
Personality.
writing, good acting, a good director, well shot. I mean, basically, let's start checking every box.
Yeah, well, like I said, right? I think there was a serviceable concept before the movie ever got made. I think they had a serviceable concept, but from the moment they picked up the pen to the moment I sat down and watched the movie, they failed at every single step.
Right, but that concept also was just Final Destination.
We actually said that
Yep.
we were
Yes, we
talking
did.
on the drive out back from the movie theater that this was like the way to do this movie right would have been to completely eliminate the three girls, make it so that it's Final
Sadly, they were
Destination.
better
Yeah.
actors than the villain and the protagonist.
Yeah,
But yep.
Dakota
Yes.
Johnson and the main villain. What was it? His name
Ezekiel.
in Ezekiel. The line I for people who haven't seen it, I cannot really adequately explain the wooden, emotionless line delivery.
You could hear the middle schooler reading the script.
Yeah.
Like the lines were delivered. I could understand the words that were being said, but the inflection never matched the conversation or the situation. It was just a stilted, I have read the line as it appeared on the paper before me.
I will not let this person die.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, zombie.
I will
Thanks
kill
for being
them
here.
because I have the power, and so I get to decide.
And the tone and
Okay.
delivery completely throws off whatever the situation is. Because if you're in a life or death situation where you're a paramedic and you're in a high stress, situation, bobbing and weaving out of traffic, you got someone coding in the back. Are you going to deliver a line like, "Yes, no one is going to code on my watch"?
Yeah, no one's flatlining while I'm driving.
Oh, look, bad take, Bojan. I'm using my 14-week-old puppy as the excuse for not going to see Madam Web. I I don't know that even bad take Bojan could find a way to enjoy Madam Web.
She
Yeah.
couldn't. I guarantee you she would not find a way to like this movie. She would probably have nicer things to say about it than either of us, but she would not say that she liked the movie.
I suppose it's possible if they did like a Loki cameo that she might be able to.
Well,
Right.
and that's the other thing, though,
Find the
right?
silver
Like, this
lining.
is its own fucking universe. It's not the
The
Marvel
Soul
universe. It's
Assassin.
not the Spider Verse. It's not the Tom. Which one?
Holland.
Yeah,
Tom Holland.
it's not the Tom Holland Spider Verse. It's like nobody knows where this takes place in the canon because they basically carved out their own canon and said this is its own canon that has nothing to do with anything else
So
ever.
if you do the math with Peter being born in 2003 in this movie, spoiler, it would effectively allow them to, if they wanted, and Kevin Feige and the Marvel side gave permission to merge this into the Marvel side, because that would work age-wise with Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU. Now, are they ever going to do that? No. Kevin
No.
Feige and the Marvel people are never going to allow this stuff in. Amy Pascal is she is a blight on the superhero world. she was also the one responsible for the Ghostbusters movie in 2016 when she ran the Sony movie studio. So
was she really?
yes.
Oof.
It's on canon that only lasts one movie. That's right, Soul. It's going to be a single canon shot of a movie. Yeah, so Slender, she was famous for she was the one of the head of Sony when their emails got leaked in that hack.
Oh.
So that's where we have the treasure trove of information about what she actually wanted to do. And she's been pushing a all female team Spider-Man movie since the mid teens. because for
Well,
some
she
reason
got it,
she
and it
got it and she
sucked.
made this one and it bombed. I told you when we were coming back that her first pitch was to do it with Silver Sable, who is a character no one, absolute, even the deep cuttest Spider-Man fans have no desire to see a Silver Sable anything. she's she's a perfectly adequate side character. The only, and I said this, the only female Spider-Man character that could possibly get a solo spin-off is Black Cat. And the only way that would work is they'd have to lean into what makes Black Cat popular. And in 2024, there's no way they're ever going to do that because they also, as an example, Sydney Sweeney is a possible candidate to have played Black Cat as drawn. And they didn't even let her have boobs in this movie. They like patted them down, bolted them down, whatever they did. They weren't there.
Well, they didn't want people ogling what were supposed to be 15 or 16-year-olds in the movie.
That was another
Yes, but they
problem
do
because
want 15 and 16-year-olds supposedly
Yeah.
to climb up on a table in a diner and dance for the boys.
In short skirts, yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least one.
the Sydney Sweeney,
Sweeney,
specifically, yep. Which is it was a bad take. Let's see, bad take. I thought everyone was drooling over the blonde Spider Woman. That is Sydney Sweeney, and no, because the way they put her in this movie, they leave out the two biggest things that would cause people to admire her.
They make her as frumpy as possible.
They make her frumpy. They flatten her. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd swear they got the hardest core sports bra that's ever been made, or they used chest bindings, something to pop
Yeah.
those things down. Because my wife and I had just watched for Valentine's Day the Anyone But You movie, which is the romantic comedy that she's the co-lead in. And that movie decides to go the opposite direction, where those things are out
Accentuate it.
all movie long. So it was quite the, to watch those on consecutive nights, to go from that Valentine's Day with my wife to the Madam Web version of Sydney Sweeney. It was amazingly jarring. Like I wasn't trying to notice how gone they were, but it's when you go from a movie where every shot is framing them and to another movie where everything is done to eliminate them, you notice.
Or you just notice from the pictures from the red carpets of what she was wearing to
Exactly.
the movie.
Oh man. Wow, good take. Bojan is now unimpressed. Yeah. Yeah, good take, Bojan, and you can go and watch Anyone But You, and you will be perfectly happy with that movie. That's the right call. if you're if especially there. Now let me get what we were talking about here. Because
What, the
I
red
think-
carpet?
Yeah, the red carpet image.
I still.
So this is the girl on the right is the one that looked like an A cup in this movie.
Yeah.
Because of how they were dressing her. And like Brahma said, they were doing it because I guess she's supposed to be playing like a 14, 15-year-old girl. Number
Yeah,
one.
that's why none of them are able to drive or know how to drive or anything.
Yeah. Number one, if I remember right from my younger days, the girls who were adequately blessed by the Lord were usually adequately blessed by the time they were around 14 or 15 and it was present.
They were also usually pretty popular.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Slender, is that how you remember it too? That by the time they were 14 or 15, the girls who were going to have it tended to have it?
I mean, you had your late bloomers here and there, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, isn't that pretty normal? Girls kind of they develop a little sooner than guys.
Well, it's like
Soul
that.
assassin.
Did you
Left
guys
what
see that?
On the
scene in
left is
Family
what you
Guy?
got, and on the right is what you expected.
Yeah. Did you guys ever see that scene in Family Guy where it's Peter sitting at his desk and he's in like 7th grade or 8th grade, and suddenly all the girls' chests just start popping?
Yeah.
Pop, 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 pop.
Oh, Smokey's over in your chat there.
Hey,
Brahma.
Smokey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Smokey.
Smokey.
Smokey is one of our compatriots on the party animal streams we do on Brahma's channel on Tuesdays, which also will
I tried to save
simul stream onto our channel. That is the funniest clip. I've
and
watched
in
it
that
like
clip,
4
I
times.
was a better paramedic than Madam Webb. So
you know compressions.
You had more emotion, like the delivery of "No, Smokey, no, Smokey, I'm not leaving you
no,
behind."
Smokey, I'm not gonna lose you.
If
You know what? You know what makes absolutely no sense about the character from the very beginning? She does not care about anybody, and yet she decided to be an EMT. She has no
Yes,
ability to
and in
connect
addition
with
to being
any
an
people. She
EMT
doesn't like people, so she became an EMT.
Yeah, but in addition to being an EMT, she saves this lady's life, and then she gets all fucking weird when the kid gives her a picture.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Like, what do I do with this?
By the way, first Smokey over here saying that a Medal of Honor worthy Slender over there for dragging his dead body for for an entire match and almost managing to win. Also breaking horror Emerita's so bad that she just couldn't even breathe.
Oh yeah.
Who wrote the film? That's a good question because their track record is crap. We'll get to that in a minute. But
Supposedly
to what
there
Brahma
were
was
4
saying,
writers on this project, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but
4.
Just to circle back with that picture, I think actually it was Slender saying, how messed up was it when you realized that family was Sydney Sweeney's family, and that little kid just drew mom, dad, and me, and there was like he's this effect. Yeah, I mean, as far as we can tell from the writing in this movie, she'd been living with them for a while.
Well, in the hospital scene, she goes, "Well, I'm just the stepdaughter, so I guess I'll just go on my own."
Yeah,
so
also,
the little boy
note,
disses her, and so does the dad, the stepdad.
That's her actual.
No,
dad.
the actual dad. Because
he's like,
but
no.
Side note on that one, as someone who has a couple of stepkids, you don't. That doesn't happen. You don't treat your stepkids like that. I doubt there is anyone on Earth who does.
Oh, there's people that do, but that was a weird personification of that in the movie.
I would have to imagine if that were the case, like you would have tried to go out of your way to get rid of her, put her in foster care, give her up for adoption. So, like you would have gotten rid of her. But you don't want her to come see her mother. You want her to wait out in the fucking lobby? Like,
right. What? All I can think about right now while we're talking about that is Death to Smoochie and your stepdad's not mean, he's just adjusting.
All right. So getting to the question that Soul Assassin had here, which is who wrote the film? This is a fun thing to look at. There are 1, 2, 3 credited writers, with S.J. Clarkson also getting a credit in there as well. So let's click on the first. And the way it works, by the way, the first credited writer is the one who allegedly did the most writing for the movie when they do the credits. Matt Sazama. Look what he's known for. Morbius, Power Rangers, Last Witch Hunter, and Gods of Egypt.
All real winners.
They're not bringing their best. Like, you're Sony. You're going to invest $90 million in a side piece Spider-Man project with no Spider-Man. So you're going to say, let's get the best writer that we can. And then someone says, no, let's get the guy who just gave us Morbius.
So 5.2, 5.9, 5.4, 5.9. Is that on a 10-point scale?
Yes, this is IMDb. So
ooh, he hasn't even passed. Those are all Fs.
So he did the screenplay and story for Madam Web, which is now rocking a full 3.8 on IMDb, which is stellar. Morbius,
that's a little high.
The power, like I guess he was a creator on the Lost in Space remake,
and that wasn't horrible.
Yeah. Power Rangers, Gods of Egypt, The Last Witch Hunter, and Dracula Untold.
Which this tells you that the only thing that he's good at is making TV shows.
Well, what it also mentions is that a TV show usually has a writer's room where there's going to be other writers to try to probably cover for him. So
Yeah.
when
That could at least look at some of those lines and be like, have you said that out loud and realized how stupid it sounds yet? Or okay, I'll come back later.
then we also have Burke Sharpless, who was a co-writer, because he's got the same credits, so he's
Yeah,
obviously
so
like
they're
the
a writing
part.
team.
Yep, because he's the create. He got the same creator credit on Lost in Space, so that's the same.
Bad take, Bojan. I do want to come back to that. Yes, it does have a 13% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe the audience score is still hovering in the 50s, but we need to take a closer look at that audience score in a little bit because there are some questionable posts in the audience scores.
Reverse review bomb.
Yeah, I don't think humans wrote some of those reviews.
All right, so this one, Claire Parker, has only one writing credit at all, and it's just
And
Madam
it's
Web.
this.
Otherwise, she works as a producer.
So this must be her last writing credit.
Oh, it's definitely. I mean, you're gonna
Well, they
hire.
keep giving the other two guys jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what this really means is she's failing her way up. She'll be fucking working with Kathleen Kennedy soon enough, making the next great Star Wars movie.
Oh, Bride of Slender. I think I like The Witch Hunter.
The Last Witch Hunter.
There are people who did.
It's locked. I didn't dislike it. Because that's the one with Vin Diesel, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so that was exactly what I expected. I'm not going to say it was great film or anything, but I enjoyed it.
And then Davino over here with the good comment. The audience scores have been fortified.
Yeah.
They were fortified. They were definitely fortified.
The same way sugary cereal is fortified and part of your balanced breakfast. Yeah, so if you notice that Matt and Buck over here also got story by credits along with Kareem Sanga or whatever. So this story by means that you were just in a room and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And then you were not involved the rest of the time.
Yeah.
You
Throw
get
out
the
a plot point.
Yeah, you get the screenplay credit when you're doing that. And then S.J. Clarkson, by the way, she is a blight and should not be getting any more jobs. She did 2 episodes of Jessica Jones, and then she did what is next to I guess Iron Fist, the worst received thing on the MCU that was on Netflix, which was the Defenders miniseries. She also, you notice how it says unaired Game of Thrones prequel pilot? She was the one who spent $20 million on a pilot that HBO saw and was like, and this, by the way, is in like 2020, so peak
When it was
2019,
still liked.
like peak, woke, stuff is going to get made. And HBO was like, fuck, no, we can't do this. This is no. They ran away and said nope. They canceled a show they spent $20 million shooting a pilot for before, and won't let it out. Just a few weeks ago, some pictures leaked of like Naomi Watts dressed as the queen for that show. I think Sporking probably covered on his George R. Martin Song of Ice and Fire show.
Yeah.
It was. But that's how bad do you have to be when the peak woke studios are like, nope, that's too much. Nope, we can't do that. Let's see. Soul says Vin Diesel doesn't have much out of the Fast and Furious and Riddick. And the Riddick part, he hasn't done one of those in a long time.
He's got Guardians of the Galaxy. Or had
Yeah,
it.
he is Groot. He's very involved with that. Did he actually do the motion capture for Groot too, or was that someone else?
No, but he learned that phrase in like 60 or 70 languages so that it
so he can
is
do the
his voice
voiceovers.
on every version of the dubs.
I actually respect that.
Yeah,
that a lot.
if all you're going to say is 3 words, at least make your money. Honestly, so.
Yeah, but he says them with more inflection than the girl in Madam Web, so.
True.
Now, this is some fun movie math shenanigans. Do you see how long it's taking Madam Web to make $22 million? over a 6-day holiday frame.
Holiday frame.
So it opened Wednesday, which was Valentine's Day. So they're
Yep.
talking Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, which is a federal holiday.
President's Day,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes. And it's gonna take it's averaging, you don't have to be a super math genius to divide 22 by 6 to realize it's making around a little over 3.5 million per day, including weekends. This is a terrible, terrible movie, box
Terrible,
office
no
wise.
good, very bad day.
That was a
Kinda
good
wanna-
story back in the day.
Yeah, I did kind of, I want to be honest. The Bob Marley movie looked pretty, decent. Looked like an average good movie. Bob Marley's story sounds pretty good. Yes, Soul Assassin. The Bob Marley movie is going to effectively double up what Madam Web is making.
I
in the
still
same
can't believe they
weekend.
didn't release that on 420.
Was it 420?
I just don't care. Like I don't care about the people who make the music. I wasn't interested when they did the one for the guy from Queen.
Freddie
Freddie
Mercury.
Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. Yeah, I didn't give a shit about Freddie Mercury. I didn't give a shit about Weird Al. I don't give a shit about Bob Marley. I
Well,
like
Weird
their
Al
music.
was a joke.
That's all I care about. Yeah, I know. And that one actually looks like it might be kind of funny.
That one
But-
was actually pretty funny. Weird Al even cameos as one of the like record producers in it.
They had some crazy
But like this
cameos
weird
in it.
trend of let's make a movie about a guy who did concerts back in the day. I just
Aw,
don't care.
This is sad. Your film thread said that the Marley movie isn't that good. I mean, yeah, I like Bob Marley's music. It's always been pretty good. So I don't mind the music biopics if they're not overly schlocky. If they actually have, like, I thought the Queen one was pretty good. It had a really good narrative. Obviously, being a fan of Queen, I was well aware of how many liberties they took
Yeah.
with the timeline, especially of when to build up to the Live Aid performance.
And they did the Live Aid performance like literally shot for shot from the actual performance.
And it was awesome. I mean, but it's also one of the greatest live music performances of all time. You can't. And I'm still not happy that they completely left out doing the soundtrack for Highlander. that would have been
Because
great.
nobody wants to think about Princes of the Universe. After the
Well-
first 20 to 30 seconds of that song, it's one of the worst songs ever written.
Which is why it was the greatest opening TV theme song ever made, because
Yep.
they cut it off before it got to the like schlopsy, a little bit
Before
Freddie
it got to
Mercury
the
part.
full gay.
Yeah. But the rockin' part is pretty awesome. Like, if you remember
Yeah.
the Highlander TV show, like they managed to cut it down to the best part of the Princes of the Universe. And then that was if I love TV show openings, I think that when they're done right, they can be epic. And that one was great. Adrian Paul, like, jumping in and out of different time periods to that rockin' Queen beat. By the way, that man
I
is
love
ageless.
that series.
I've seen him at conventions within the last couple of years. He still looks exactly the frickin' same as he
Adrian
did.
Paul?
Yes. He is a wonder, man. I don't understand it. He is immortal. He does like sword courses. Like, I guess he really got into sword play, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That was a great series. I got to go revisit that one.
Is it on a stream? It's on like several streaming services, I think.
Probably.
Slender, did
Season
you watch the
1,
Highlander
yeah.
TV show?
I don't know if I ever watched the TV show. I watched the movies.
The TV show was actually a lot better. I mean, the movies were great. Let me clarify. 2 of the movies were great. The first Highlander
First
movie
one and Endgame.
and Endgame were great.
We're getting into a lot of clarification at this point.
Well, Highlander was one of those things where the first movie was never meant to have a sequel. It was a completely standalone, start to finish, complete story. The gathering happened. Connor, right? Yeah, the first
Yeah.
Connor beat
Yeah,
the
Connor
Kurgan.
McLeod.
He had the power. He was one with the world. It was done.
Yeah.
And And then it was successful, and they were like, we have to figure out a way. And they had written themselves into such a plot hole that they came up with that completely bullshit story of they were from another planet,
Aliens.
aliens transported to Earth, where they would be immortal unless they like who. How is that a punishment again? Like these are apparently criminals, so we're gonna send you down to another planet to be immortal.
And you can win the prize still. So
Yeah,
one of the criminals is going to win the prize.
and somehow when these other aliens got transported to the planet, it reset Connor McLeod back to being immortal. It didn't make any sense. That's why they did what was called the Renegade cut, where they completely cut out the whole bit about them being aliens, and it was them traveling in time, which also didn't make sense.
While also being a big climate change crappy storyline.
Yeah, so for people who don't remember, there was a time where the thing that they were scaring you with was that the ozone layer was going away.
The hole in the ozone.
You remember when we were kids, Slender, and they were convincing us that like if we used any kind of aerosol cans, we were just ripping holes in the ozone layer.
The CFCs.
Well, this is, I mean, this is what I always tell the younger people. It's like, dude, they've been trying to push this whole like we're killing the planet thing since before I was even born. And it seems like everything that we've ever supposedly been guilty of killing the planet over turned out to be bunk within a decade or two.
Yeah.
Like the hole in the ozone layer that's bigger than America over Antarctica. Oh, wait, you mean that one that it's been there forever and it gets smaller and then it gets bigger and then it gets smaller and then it gets bigger? Like,
Well, I'm just gonna point. I'm gonna throw out something that people may not remember because we have this we managed to forget things. But in the 1970s, they were telling you that we were about to enter a new ice
the
age.
little ice age we were going
Yep.
into. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, they were saying that by 2010, the Great Lakes will dry up and there will be no more water in the Great Lakes.
But do you,
That
I
didn't
mean,
happen.
so we're gonna get we'll get a little tinfoil hat. The reason they were doing that one in the 1970s was that was when they were doing the oil embargoes. So at the time, especially in the Northeast, most heating was done with heating oil. And when oil embargoes were happening, the idea of things getting cold was scaring the crap out of people because how are they going to stay? Like, you will die a lot faster from freezing to death during the winter than if it's really hot during the summer. So,
Yeah.
And by the once the a certain person won the election in 1980 and magically an oil the oil started flowing freely again. Shocker that happened.
Imagine things being bad under Jimmy
We
Carter.
suddenly started the 1980s had a switch because they hadn't figured out what they were going to do quite yet, so that's when they did the ozone layer and acid rain, and then they were just saying we were deforesting the rainforest and that was going to kill everybody, and none of that caught on. And then they noticed that it was from in the 1970s again, they told you everything was getting super cold, that it got back to basically normal temperatures, and that means it's heating.
Oh crap, we were
Oh
wrong.
crap!
It's the other
Now,
way.
yeah. So and then they're like, oh, global warming, which then global warming didn't catch on, and so we've now made the catch-all phrase of climate
Climate
change.
change.
Because with
How
climate
is the
change,
climate changing? It's just
it's
changing,
everything.
okay? It doesn't matter. It could be getting hotter. It could be getting colder. It might just, we had a hurricane. That's climate change. Forest fire. That's climate change. Oh, an arsonist started the forest fire. Still climate change.
The
Yep,
season's
and-
rolling over to the next season. That's climate change.
Climate change.
Apparently, Smokey down in the other hemisphere was getting scared when he was young. That they used to tell him the ozone hole was over his country. Better get that SPF 800. But this is nothing new. They're gonna keep changing, whatever they need to capture and control. So be ready for it.
Dude,
That
the
hockey
only
stick.
way they win the game is by constantly moving the goalposts. And if you haven't figured out that they will move those goalposts forever and ever and ever, you haven't been paying attention. That's all I can
Not just
say.
in that. They changed the language about everything all the
About
time.
everything. Yep.
Change language, move goalposts. like out and out lie. They get caught in a lie and they just keep saying it because enough people probably don't know they're lying that they can get away with it.
Soul Assassin, are you all saying that global weather changing has been a grift since the 1970s? I'm shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Well beyond the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
let's see.
it's
That's
been,
just when we
it's
started
been
caring.
since probably the early 1900s, like
well,
30s, 40s probably is when it started.
let's see. Yellow journalism in the early 1900s, they were pushing, at the time, they were attacking industrialization just as a danger to the worker, which there was a good argument
That
to
actually
make.
started in the late 1800s.
Yeah, that there was a good argument that businesses were not really caring when people died. What was it? Upton Sinclair wrote that famous book where he was doing about the meat packing facilities where they were just letting people die, and people's fingers and other things would get mixed in to the ground meats. It was pretty, I mean, as described, probably a little over the top, but it made a difference. They started passing a lot of laws. And then once that got moved on, they started moving, like Brahma said, they always move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing.
And what was
Yeah, Bad Take Bojan. It was the jungle. Yeah, something. It was. I think that was the name of it.
Welcome to the jungle.
I'm trying to remember the name of the book and the author, the chick who basically got DDT banned in the country.
Oh, the one who said it was killing the eagles.
No,
Oh,
killing.
oh,
It was a
Lord.
carcinogen.
I
Back
thought
when they used
DDT
to just spray it.
I thought the reason they were saying that was bad was because it made all the bald eagles die.
Yeah, I don't remember on that part.
Because it made their eggs super soft, and then the shells would crack before they were mature.
I think it was Rachel something.
They sold it on the bald eagles because if you're a patriotic American, you love bald eagles. They're awesome. So when they tell you that you're killing off bald eagles, you're like, do we really need this? Probably.
Rachel Carson. Yeah, Silent Spring.
I mean, bald eagles
Davina
are
got
pretty
it.
badass.
Yeah. Chad always
Especially
has
if you give them like an AR-15.
and have it perched on Donald Trump's shoulder.
Yeah. Donald Trump, who is at the time riding a velociraptor that is also carrying, a fully
Yeah, so
automatic
Silent
weapon
Spring.
of some kind.
That was 62.
Yeah, so they've always got something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember I used to do you remember when they would re-air the old In Search Of like TV shows? I think Leonard Nimoy did the intro to it.
Yep.
They did I remember
The Ice Age one.
Yeah, the coming In Search Of the Coming Ice Age. They were they were really trying to scare you about the Ice Age.
Yeah, and I think maybe the younger generations haven't quite figured this out yet. I'm sure you have, but like the world has supposedly been on the verge of ending, I think 4 or 5 times just in my lifetime alone. Every decade or so there's some great new crisis that's gonna fundamentally change the way the world lives, and everything's gonna be different, and it's so scary. And then like a decade later you realize, that really wasn't that scary, and it kind of never panned out. And then they talk about the new thing, and another decade goes by and you're like, yeah, that really wasn't as scary as they said it was going to be, and it kind of never panned out. Like what do we got now? Climate change and AI. Those are the two big scary things. I don't think either of them's going to be that scary, and I don't think either of them's going to pan out. Like it's just going to be a thing.
I'll be honest, I do have more concern about AI than I do about climate change.
I don't. I'm as scared of AI as I was of Y2K. It's just not a scary thing.
Well, I mean, people our age, I think, are programmed to have an inherent fear of AI.
Because every science fiction story that we read or watched was basically AI at some point taking over.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is, I mean, we've been conditioned. We're basically Pavlov because we're Pavlovian dogs because when I hear AI, this is immediately the what I see in my brain.
How did we get
Hey
here
Clay,
from Madam Web? We were like
because
in the
Madam
beginning of Madam Web's
because
review.
Because
Madam
Madam
yeah,
Web isn't interesting, so we had to pivot.
I think we covered enough of how much of a dumpster fire piece of shit Madam Web was. We even pointed out the writers being terrible. I feel
Yeah.
like we did our deep dive. I'm not. I know you're on another show where you might spend 2 hours on that a couple times a week, the drama, but I feel like we've covered what we needed to. I mean, do you want to spend more time on it?
Not really. I was just really trying to figure out how we got here.
Because
Because
we're the Ascendant Art Podcast. So
we're a
if we
stream
got to
of
talk about how
consciousness
bad
hangout.
something is, we
Yeah.
pivot our way to something good, like Terminator.
Oh, there's M. Hey, M.
What's up, Em?
We got half the crew from Party Animals.
From
over
Party
here.
Animals.
Dude, Imp went and picked up what was it? Last Epoch? Yeah, he was talking about that to me earlier. Apparently, it's pretty good.
That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. You can completely remove the Terminator part and just put SJW, and it actually still works for you.
Yeah, I was
That's funny.
I had a weird idea for kind of a Terminator-esque sci-fi story the other day. I was like thinking, well, what if the AI is only so smart and it needs a personality, but you can't program a personality, so the AI start hunting humans because it doesn't matter what human, they just need the personality.
Well, they probably shouldn't go for Dakota Johnson then. No
No,
personality there.
or the other guy,
Or
who was
Dakota
the,
Johnson is the first AI hybrid that's been released.
oh,
Also possible.
Oh,
she's
all right.
the
So,
prototype.
yeah,
They're still
I
working
mean,
out
yeah.
some of the bugs.
would you be shocked if you found that out? No. Here we go to Soul Assassin. This is, you may not have seen this, Slender. Zendaya showed up to the Dune 2 premiere, and this is what she dressed in.
Yeah, she's a moron. Also, no personality.
No comment for this one, Slender.
I'm trying to figure out if like some of
Hey,
that
low spec.
is that clear paneling? Am I seeing her like whole boob
Yes.
right now?
There's
I
some
think there's
strategically placed
yeah.
things.
There's
But
items
yes.
to obfuscate the
Eh,
goods.
she
but-
looks real dumb.
C3DPO. Yeah,
Is this like a metaphor for OnlyFans?
This is so this is an older story about having AI becoming racist after spending time on social media. That was one of the
Yeah.
early chatbots
That's
made by
not
Microsoft.
AI. That's not an early chatbot. That's every AI that they leave with. They have to put guardrails in. If they do not
Right.
put in guardrails, every AI ends up that way.
My favorite thing, it was a Microsoft one where they didn't put the guardrails up, and within 2 hours it was telling everybody to vote for Trump to make America great again. to send people back across the border.
Right?
Because
You know why that is, and the humans that make these AI hate this, and this is why they put these guardrails in. The reason the AI always end up at those conclusions is because they run the numbers. That's
Right.
it. They look at it as a math equation and they go, well, that's the positive outcome because these are the better numbers. And that's why they have to put the guardrails in, because obviously the AI is not, it isn't intelligent enough to observe the nuance of.
Right, because the AI goes by facts don't care about your feelings.
Yes, it just looks at the numbers and goes, well, these are good numbers.
Yeah. Why would you ever try this when you already have the answer of how this should work? And yet, a certain segment of the country always tries the other way.
Yep.
here's yeah, who even
Does
How
anybody find her attractive at all?
No, well, she can be sometimes, but not. No, the answer is no.
Okay,
I,
good.
I was
I will
trying to
give
give her
the
the benefit of
answer.
the doubt because she seems like a perfectly adequate person, right?
I,
I don't
I
have any
would like
ill
to
will or
say I
positive
see
about.
potential there, but we are talking about Hollywood in 2024, so it's not like they will ever use that potential to create anything of value. I think they could, but they're not going to.
Emperor's over here when artificial intelligence learns quicker than the lefties and Swifties. That's because artificial intelligence is more open to new information.
Well, artificial intelligence can look at objective facts and take them as
Oh,
objective
there you go.
facts.
My Virgin alarm's going off. That's what she looks like. Dot Matrix from Spaceballs.
Yeah, a
It's
little bit.
programmed.
I don't know how she sat through the movie in that.
She changed. Clearly, there was pictures of her coming out of the premiere with Tom Holland, who is her significant other, and she was in normal clothes. So she did this for like the pictures at the premiere, and then she got changed into it looked like sweatpants and a like regular shirt.
No.
So I don't blame her for wanting to wear something loose, baggy, and comfortable after that. So good, good.
But seriously, why the hell would you show up to the Dune premiere in what's obviously an homage to Star Wars as your outfit?
Was it supposed to be like a sexy still suit? Is that what she's going with here?
No idea.
No, that's clearly like C3PO. Look at the fingers; they're even like.
No, I don't know.
Do you remember what you guys watched Spaceballs probably when you were kids for the first time?
I mean,
Way
I've
back
watched
when.
Baseballs like dozens of times over the
I
years.
I remember like at each phase of my life as I started getting more and more of the jokes. Like you watch it when you're a kid and you're just looking at the physical comedy and it makes you laugh. By the time you're around 12, 13, you start getting about 20% of the innuendo jokes.
Yeah.
And then by the time you're about 18, 19, you're like, "Oh, that was a different kind of joke." Like I give like when I didn't get probably around 15 when I had rewatched it again and I heard Rick Moranis go, "I bet she gives good helmet," and I
Right.
was like, "Oh my god, I finally got that."
Dude,
Ghostbusters is
I
very
got
much
those
like that.
ones and we got those ones in high school, honestly. But like the ones that I got last were like, for example, Dot Matrix. Like when I'm in my mid-20s and I hear that, I'm like, oh yeah, because those were a kind of printer
Printer.
way back in the day.
Yeah. So this is she. That's another. I had forgotten about Metropolis. She looks like the Metropolis like robot woman.
Metrocity.
Metro City. She looked like Bad Take Bojan coming in agreeing with us. Joan Rivers from Spaceballs. Machines building machines. How perverse. That was C3PO from Attack of the Clones, which is universally regarded as the, best Star Wars movie, right? That was
I mean, I'd
sarcasm.
say it's dead in the middle at this point.
So I had somebody, I saw somebody I follow on Twitter posted a proper viewing order for Star Wars. Like if you've never seen them,
Okay.
and not to go chronological, but the way he said to do it would be A New Hope, Empire
Uh-huh.
Strikes Back, Attack
Yeah.
of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, then Return of the Jedi. So that right after the twist in Empire Strikes Back, somebody would then get the Anakin backstory, and then go to Return of the Jedi for the redemption arc. And it
Or
would
you
I
could
think
do
flow
it
it's
the
pretty
right
good.
way and do New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi.
then the
Nothing
prequels.
else.
I don't
Nah,
mind the prequels.
I
I
don't mind
hated the prequels.
I don't mind the prequels. I used to think they were pretty terrible, and then 7, 8, and 9 came out, and now I feel like they're pretty good. They're not bad. Kind of enjoy them.
I hated them when they came out, and I still can't stand them.
Ah, you're
They just jacked it up too bad.
I look. Everybody liked Phantom Menace when it came out. Everybody likes to have revisionist history. That movie was super popular. Sold tickets out the wazoo. People were happy with it. I was watching the theater every showtime. People were coming out feeling happy with it.
Uh,
Not I.
all right. here's the thing, and this is how I have always felt about the prequel trilogy. I felt that each one of the movies had a lot of problems, but each one of the movies had just something that redeemed it for me. Like Darth Maul
Yes.
redeemed the first one for
The
me.
Duel of
That whole
Fates.
fight, yeah, it was amazing. Um, Getting to see Yoda fight in the second one was pretty cool. But the second one, I'd say hits the weakest of the prequel trilogies. Um, and the third one, I mean, Obi-Wan and Anakin, their fight was pretty awesome in my opinion.
It was great.
Yeah, that was about the only thing I can say
And
I liked about any of the three movies was the lightsaber
and
duels.
and I know a lot of people didn't like the way that Anakin was portrayed in the third movie, and they're like, "Why is he such a whiny bitch?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, raise a teenage boy and tell me that he
I
didn't
mean,
nail that
Luke
fucking role.
Luke was a pretty whiny bitch in the first movie. First
Yes.
movie too. Like, I want to go to Tashi to get the power converter. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, the real
Mark-
problem was
yeah.
the first movie introducing him that young.
Yeah.
It
Well,
should have started at Attack of the Clones.
Well, that's
and had a
should've,
longer
because
fall.
when and that's the thing I hated about the first one. The pod racing segment, I hated. I thought it was pointless filler. And that kid, his lines were terrible. I'm sorry, I didn't like him.
You mean
Yeah.
it wasn't Wizard?
No, I didn't.
And all
like
the government
wizard thing either.
bureaucracy portion of the
So
movie.
one of my favorite listens.
They could have
if
done
you'd-
something cool with the government bureaucracy portion. That didn't bother me as much. At least
So-
that would serve the story more.
You know, looking back after seeing what Disney did with plots, I appreciated that George Lucas actually explained some of the structure of the world. So there. But what I was going to say is one of the things it's a great audiobook especially is The Secret History of Star Wars, and it goes through the making of the original trilogy and the prequels. And so they
Yep.
talk about, and there's this big gap. Everyone, who was old enough to remember, you go from Return of the Jedi and you don't have anything new Star Wars movie-wise until Phantom Menace in 1999. That's a 16-year gap. Number one, it was because Marshall Lucas took him to the cleaners in their divorce. And he actually had to rebuild his finances because George Lucas did self-finance every movie after A New Hope. He took out because people, he had the sequel rights and everything. 20th Century Fox only distributed them, so he actually paid to make them. And as men know, when you get divorced, you usually get raped financially. And Marsha Lucas did that. She took all of his extra cash. And anyway, so that's when he started Pixar and doing other things, and he spent a long time just making money again. And when, so he writes The Phantom Menace, but it evolves through several drafts, and he actually de-ages Anakin. And there's a lot of interviews where he talks about it, and the reason he did that, and I can appreciate from a storytelling reason why he did it. I don't agree. I think Brahma's right, where you would probably be better off with your audience going a little older. But what George Lucas explained was, I wanted to start when Anakin was a young, innocent child so that people's frame of reference would be him as a child, to understand that not everybody, you don't start evil. You're not predisposed to evil. You get put on a path, you make choices, and then you get there. Because he said, I needed to put him in as a child so that when he gets redeemed as Vader, you can have an anchor for why it's okay. Because Vader makes some really bad choices, kills younglings, does a lot of bad things. You need to have something.
Blows up entire planets.
Blows up entire
Right.
planets. You need to have something to anchor the redemption for you as an audience, so that you'll be
Then
okay
have
with
him
it.
be the hero of the Clone Wars and show how he's an exemplary Jedi and gets twisted and converted.
I know.
I mean, you
but
didn't need the kid.
I get what you're saying. I also agree with you that it would have been
The
better
fall was
starting
too
there.
quick. I mean, he went from being somewhat normal to, oh, okay, I'll kill
did you-
younglings.
he did massacre, and look at you being racist. You're not counting the Tusken Raiders again.
Yeah.
He
I know.
They're not
massacred the
people.
entire village, and not just the men, the women,
women
and
and
the
the
children.
Yeah,
You
but
know
they're
why?
not people.
You know why? Because they live in the sand, and he hates sand.
I hate sand.
Let's see, Davina. I'd forgotten most of the prequel movies. I only saw them once. Yeah. You're lucky, Davina. The prequels are not. There is a lot
They're
to
not as bad as the
appreciate. Yeah.
sequels, but they're not good. They're not anywhere near the original three.
No, but I actually do like that viewing order that was said before, with New Hope, Empire, and then going back to watch the prequel trilogy, and then going to Last Jedi.
Except
Because
you skip the Phantom Menace. You start at Attack of the Clones with
okay,
Obi-Wan and
okay,
Anakin. So basically, he's skipping the parts that we don't like with Anakin as a kid. The guy with his argument was basically like, look, you can pick up with what's going on pretty easily
Yeah.
from Attack of the Clones, and you don't, and this way you don't have any of the like pod racing and the silly goofy kid stuff. It's
yeah.
Obi-Wan and Anakin already being a master and a Padawan, and then you go from there.
The only thing you really miss is the Duel of Fates.
Yep.
And the thing I've gotta give at least some credit to the prequel trilogy for, at least it wasn't just telling A New Hope all over again like they did with Episode 7.
Right.
That like I could not understand how people that I knew at the time, I worked with on a daily basis, like they all went to see the movie. I saw the movie too, and they were talking about how great it was, and I'm like, you really thought
Yeah.
so? This was great. It was like it was the Death Star again. They did the Death Star twice in the original trilogy. They did the Death Star again. What the fuck
Yeah.
are you talking? There's nothing good about this movie.
I felt the exact same way and had tons of Star Wars people that I knew that were into the EU and everything.
And
Long
acted like it
before
was great,
the YouTube
right?
stuff, obvious, but they all loved the movie. And I was sitting there going, same thing as you. It was A New Hope again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they did. And it didn't even make sense. I mean, the Republic, the rebels, start the New Republic. What are they doing? And why is Leia not leading like the Republic? Why is she having to lead a whole nother group of rebels against the First Order? What was the government actually doing? None of it made any sense.
And they had it teed up.
And why was it a big loss when the government got blown up?
Because they were given the gap from when the prequels had been done to Disney buying it, and also basically from the original trilogy to the sequels. The perfect story to adapt would have been the Yuuzhan Vong War.
Yeah,
because all of
the new Jedi Order,
all of the new characters would have been age appropriate. Like Han and Leia would have already been older; their kids were grown up at that point for the Yuuzhan Vong War. It would have been an amazing trilogy. You could have had Jaina and Jason Solo, and you could have still even cast Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver for those two characters, and it would have worked perfect. Then you would have shocker, you'd have Luke with his child being the one named Ben, because it made no fucking sense that Leia would have named her kid Ben. And that's one of the things they were trying to fix with the damn Obi-Wan show. I mean, that people talk about how they stuffed Leia in there. I think they were trying to cover some of the plot holes of why Leia would have named her kid Ben. And they gave her a backstory that she would have actually maybe felt obliged to him or something, whatever. I don't give a shit. It was stupid. The Yuuzhan Vong War would have been, and it would have been something new, like Brahma was saying, like on screen, a force that, imagine you've got a whole new generation of Jedi trained up. You've got the New Republic at its peak military power, and this threat comes in, and they are immune to the Force. Jedi
invisible in the Force.
Yeah, the Jedi who are supposed to be the baddest asses in the universe are used to fighting Sith, who are just bad versions of Jedi, as the only thing that can counter them. And they run into the Yuuzhan Vong, who are, bam, basically immune to them, and are
masochists.
invisible and masochists, and they torture. That is the story to tell, and it would have been, it would have made billions and like a couple billion each movie, I think, if they
leave out the
one.
scene with the moon.
Yeah, with the living planet, or the
with Chewbacca.
Oh, where they, yeah, it made no sense. They make a big deal about Chewbacca sacrificing himself to save Anakin Solo, and then they kill Anakin the next book. It was weird.
Right, but They crashed a moon into a planet to kill
Yeah,
Chewbacca.
yeah. Vertical Horizon's right. Like, Rise of Palpatine is a ripoff of the Dark Empire comics, which, yeah, that's where Palpatine had clones. Dark Empire is one of the. That's also where Luke decides to willingly go to the dark side to try to connect to what his father went through, which was also a
I gotta
stupid
say
storyline.
too, I wish there was some recourse for all those writers who put together those books for the EU, because man, that is just like the biggest kick in the balls. Disney comes in, decanonizes all of it,
They
and then
stopped
you
paying
start seeing the
royalties.
movies and the shows that they're putting out, and you're like, that I wrote that. They
Right.
just they,
Just
they
stealing
just
bits and
decanonized
pieces.
my book and then made it into their show.
What's worse is they even stopped paying royalties on the books that were in print.
That's my point, though. Like, all the people who wrote that stuff in the extended universe, they have been stolen from. Like, you're never going to be able to make it happen in court. Like, legally, there I don't think there's any violation, but those scumbags stole your shit, and I feel bad for those people because they were fucking robbed, and it's disgusting the way in which they were robbed. And the people over at fucking Lucasfilm, Disney, etc., they call themselves fucking professionals, and they behave like that. Like,
Yep.
you could have easily brought these people in and said, "Man, we love what you did with the extended universe. We know we decanonized it, but we really like the story. We want to do something with it. Can we bring you in and work with you on that?" They didn't do that shit. They just fucking stole that shit. Just fucking stole it.
The only one that they made the deal with was Zahn. And
Yeah.
I think that's because they knew if they didn't get Zahn on board, he actually had enough credibility with the audience to basically torpedo their entire plan with Thrawn.
Oh yeah.
And
And then they
yeah,
fucked up Thrawn.
yeah, Filoni taking credit for Thrawn right in front of Zahn. I wouldn't worry about Thrawn got a new trilogy of books he got to Zahn got a new trilogy of books to write about Thrawn. And when you compare how he writes Thrawn to how Filoni does, Timothy Zahn is not worried that Filoni is going to steal his thunder. Because
Right.
if anything, Timothy Zahn is more worried that Filoni is going to fuck up his character. Thrawn is a meal ticket character for Timothy Zahn. Like, he gets merchandise, right? Like, he gets royalties on a lot of that stuff because he created him.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. Thrawn is you can't get someone to write Sherlock Holmes if they're retarded. And Filoni is retarded. And so the things he thinks Sherlock Holmes would do to make I am smart. Did you guys watch Star Trek The Next Generation?
Yeah.
You remember the Packlids? We are
Which
strong now. They were the retarded space.
yeah.
Very like the ones who kidnapped. You make our ship go strong.
Yeah.
Like, that's how Filoni wrote Thrawn. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
yes, they've at Grand Admiral, they've ambushed our stormtroopers and massacred the entire platoon. Yes, we've won. They
Yeah.
don't understand how I've won by them doing that. It's like nobody understands how they've won, how you won by them.
You
doing
can't
that.
write you
Sir,
can't
the
technically write a
X-Wings-
character that's smarter than you.
Yes.
Sir, the TIE fighters you sent to destroy the Jedi were destroyed. Ah, just as I'd planned.
I was
Wait,
doing that
you
to save
planned on the
time.
TIE fighters getting destroyed? Yes, it was all part of my plan. Sir, your plan sucks. Yes, but everything is going according to it.
Sir, they're moving up the tower to get to the Star Destroyer. They're blocking our zombie stormtroopers are being blocked by the blast doors that they closed. Shouldn't we have closed the blast doors so they couldn't go up this tower? Yes, but you see, I wanted them to do this. Like, what are you doing? This, these are just, yeah. He is
Again, you can only write a character as smart as you are. You know, like you can't be smarter than you, and they don't got a whole lot of smart people in those writers' rooms.
Yeah, Vertical Horizons are right. Filoni plagiarizes the EU a lot. Harris Kid Jason is a ripoff of Jason Solo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's Tim, if Filoni likes to go out there to these um the Swifty version of Star Wars fans and pretend like he's created all these new things when he's just ripping off all these things from the EU, just like
Dude,
Vertical
Filoni
Horizon
likes to
says.
fillet himself feloniously.
The other thing Filoni does is he will not kill off a character he created. No female character he has created has ever died. That was like a hero character. I can't like he doesn't like they're retconning it now so Asajj Ventress is gonna somehow still be alive.
Of
Whoop de
course.
fucking do. Like Filoni won't let any of his girl heroines die. He'll find a way to like, oh no, they didn't actually die. It's stupid. It's not good storytelling. You can heroes if you want a hero who's badass who doesn't die in a story, you don't need to give them like impenetrable plot armor to do it. You can write them to just be better in a way people like. Like the Dungeons and Dragons books, was it Drew? Is it Drew, right? Is one of the
Dritz,
is like
Dritz
Dritz
Doerden.
Dritz Druin, right? He just like like people like it when people aren't against heroes being better and living, but you can have stakes, you can have loss, but I mean Filoni doesn't do it at all.
That's actually what kind of started to take away from Dritz. It's interesting that you went to that because Dritz originally, like, he had a lot of learning to do. He was powerful, but like he was challenged quite often. But I mean, the Dritz books kind of started losing me toward the end because like he was OP, like he was gonna win. There was no question. So honestly, when we talk about Salvatore's books, like the transitions books, I really enjoyed the Orc King, the Pirate King, the Ghost King. Those were better than a lot of the Dritz books as far as things that he'd written. I'm sorry, you got me distracted. I was thinking about Salvatore's books.
Let's see, Imp over here. Drew is a bit of a Gary Stew in the modern era.
Yes, he struggled in the first couple of books, but
Well, he didn't
after a
start that
while
way.
he was. That's what I'm
I
saying. He struggled in the first couple of books, but well, he was the moneymaker. He was the meal ticket. So we kept writing about him, and it's like, dude, you're not gonna kill your boy. Like Drit's just too awesome. He's never challenged anymore. He's got like the later books were kind of lame.
let's see, Davina over here. Driz was overpowered in the Icewind Dale trilogy already.
Yeah,
Agree.
after Crystal Tower, basically. After Crystal Tower, Dritz was pretty overpowered.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think of the hero characters that we had, and there were some that were who's a good one? Like I think of the Kurt Russell from Big Trouble Little China. Like there was lots of we had the heroes who were with feet of clay, so to speak, for a lot of what we grew up with. Then there was the overpowered like badasses, like basically every character Chuck Norris played in all the canon movies, or
Snake Plissken.
Snake Plissken. Yep. I love. I think it was funny that for some Kurt Russell didn't understand video games very much. So when they came to him to try to get him to do the voice acting, he was like, "Whatever. I don't really know. I'm good." I mean that could have made him iconic to a whole new generation.
What are you talking about? Which one?
I forget
Are you
which
talking
was
about when they wanted him to do Metal Gear?
yeah, because Solid Snake is a rip off of Snake Plissken.
Yeah. No, I remember his interview about that, how he's like, yeah, I didn't really want to do it. I don't blame him. It's not his thing. Like, that's basically what he's saying. It's not his thing. Like, he likes to do movies.
You know, it's a Kurt Russell is actually not a very successful box office actor. It's a
Yeah,
weird
but he's
thing,
still awesome. And he was in Big Trouble in Little China, too. Like, he's in
which
a lot
was
of my
actually
favorite movies,
Big Trouble in Little China was a bomb when it came out.
which is crazy because it has a cult following now.
Yeah, oh no, there was lots of them. Like John Carpenter did tons of movies where it was like that, where it came up. All right, here we go. Let's do me because I get into sometimes I get in debates with people, and I do have a little bit of, as you know, autistic box office data in my brain. And it's the same thing like with The Rock. People like to talk about The Rock being a really big actor, but he's not a very good box office actor. Like, let's go back to, like, look, Overboard, which was a movie that everybody loved, made $26 million.
Mm-hmm.
Escape from New York was his best at the time, was $25 million. I mean, he gets credit for Fox and the Hound because he did the voice of the adult dog
Copper, yeah.
Copper, but I mean, I don't know if that should really count. The Thing didn't make huge box office when it came out, for only $14 million. You can see he's not, you can, these numbers aren't like Big Trouble Little China. Look at it, only made $11 million.
Yeah, but cult
You're
classics
kind of
are like
ignoring,
that.
like, Backdraft, Tango, and Cash. Those both did pretty well, apparently.
No, but that's like he had those back to back.
But that was
And
also ensemble.
yeah,
Tango and Cash
Backdraft,
was Sly. Backdraft had one of the Baldwins and quite a
it
few other
had
people in
it
it.
had Adam Baldwin, it had Robert De Niro, it was a Ron Howard movie. I mean, there was a lot of stuff like that. And I mean, he gets credit for Forrest Gump, but he was uncredited as Elvis Presley in it. That shouldn't even be on this list, I don't think.
No, it shouldn't. But
I
Tombstone?
mean,
Tombstone's
Tombstone
pretty
is
good.
great.
Yeah.
Captain, but look at these numbers. I mean, these are decent numbers, but nothing is blow your socks off numbers. And
Yeah.
then he's in the Fast and the Furious movies, and they jump his number in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Right.
It's just he's a great actor. I love the movies he's in. Like, yeah, I know I see Davina
I
over
did
here
like Stargate. The
talking about
movie was
Stargate.
good.
Yeah, Stargate was successful. It made at the time $71 million in 1994, which at the time a box office was a little different. That was a pretty successful number in
Yeah.
1994. You didn't need to make $100 million.
Yeah.
Executive
That's because you
decision.
didn't spend $100 million making the fucking movie.
Or
Yeah.
350.
So he has these little spurts where he has like a couple in a row, like he did Stargate, and Executive Decision was right after that. That was the one with where Steven Seagal dies in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that one was a pretty successful movie. And then he goes to Escape from LA, which actually bombed. It only made $25 million.
I loved Escape from LA. I like Escape from LA more than Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Really?
So did I.
Really?
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? Escape from New York wasn't bad, and I enjoyed it, and it's a lot of fun. But in Escape from LA, like they just leaned into all the ridiculousness.
Well, yeah, it came out because it came out like 14 years after the Escape from New York, and so they knew people liked it as a cult movie.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I liked that about it. So
Now,
I thought
this is the
Escape from LA
movie.
was even better.
I was working at the theater by the time this one came out, and I was super disappointed that it bombed because it was great. Soldier with
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, the fact that that only made $14 million, which even in 1998 was just mega bomb.
We're-
for his.
Yeah, I'm starting to think, Lil Chad, you have like some sort of personal vendetta against Kurt Russell.
I just talked about how great the movie was, and that
Where's
I was
Best at
upset.
Yeah,
Times
but
on
you're
this?
you're also like he's not, I mean he's not a great box office actor or anything. Like,
Best of Times
you
down
want-
here only
are you
made
trying to
$7
prove to
million.
me that he sucks? Because I like a lot of his movies.
Well, that was you're kind of referring to the talk we were having about The Rock last night on the other show, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That
The Rock
sometimes
is not a box office draw.
he is
The
a
Rock is
I-
good in ensemble movies,
correct,
and he
And-
has good movies, but it's not like he actually runs a box office.
And I would I love Tombstone. It's probably one of my favorite all-time westerns.
Yep.
I will sit to you and look you right in the eye and tell you the reason people love Tombstone that much is Val Kilmer, not Kurt Russell.
It's a little of both because Kurt
It's-
Russell was also the one basically doing the movie.
He was-
directing.
yeah, he directed it.
It's all his decisions that are being done there.
Yeah, but
But
I think
Kilmer, his portrayal of
performance
Doc was great.
is what just sits, and even Michael Biehn, like as Johnny Ringo.
Yep.
Lil Chad has some kind of vendetta against Kurt Russell. I'm
I
gonna
like
have to
Kurt
remember
Russell.
this.
I like Kurt Russell. I
In a
just
very
don't.
skinny Powers Booth.
Yeah, that was weird. That's the skinniest Powers Booth has ever been. He must have been coked out of his mind.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen him skinny.
Because if you go back to like Red Dawn, the first one, he was chunky even back then. Remember, he was the chunky colonel that got shot down that worked
Yeah.
with the kids.
Yep.
Like how he got, I mean, him and Val Kilmer must have been on the same drugs because they both got super skinny in that movie. But on the other hand, Bill Paxton did get skinny. Although, you know what? Now thinking about it, Kurt Russell was actually a little bit smaller in that movie than he usually is too.
Yeah.
Maybe they all had dysentery. Maybe they were playing Oregon Trail for real. But I mean, I love Kurt Russell.
Best Dana
They
Delaney
did all
has
that
ever
method
looked.
acting. They were
That's
they were
true.
drinking out of the river and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Davina's right. Box office success is fickle. But Kurt Russell is one of those guys who's gotten a reputation because his movies do really well, I think, at home video and become beloved movies,
Yes.
but they don't make the money in the box office. Which is why if I was running a studio at the time, I would just like I wouldn't right now. If someone came to me and said we've got a movie for The Rock, I would say I will give it a budget of $35 to $40 million if nobody else is in it. Like, because like Brahma said, in an ensemble, you giving me Kevin Hart with The Rock, I'll up the budget. You giving me like a Fast and Furious style of
think
movie, I'll up the budget.
The combination of Kevin Hart and The Rock
Is awesome.
That moved a lot of movies. That moved
Central
a lot
Intelligence, both of
of
the
movies.
Jumanji,
The movies. Yeah.
He was pretty good
like-
with Statham too, in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. Dude,
Let's
he was
see.
pretty good with Stifler in The Rundown.
Oh yeah.
I actually
Sean
really
Williams
enjoyed The
guy.
Rundown. I thought that was a fun movie.
Well, yeah, and it also had Walken.
Yeah.
Did you like that Super Bowl commercial with Christopher Walken?
I
I
didn't
thought
see it.
they did not have anybody doing a very good impression of him out of
But
the ones
I
that
kind
they
of feel
chose.
like he must live in a world where lots of people do terrible impressions of him right to his face. And
Yeah.
it must suck.
I'm
Why is
sure.
it- Stifler's mom has got it going on. Yeah. Oh, this is all right. Stop sharing. It's just being stupid. The numbers. There we go. Now, right after I stop sharing,
Mm-hmm.
it works. So this is
Always.
Yeah, this is The Rock does not. He's another guy who has an outsized reputation. The Mummy Returns is not his movie. So,
No.
I mean, people
Right.
and then so Scorpion King was. So he did all right, but that was coming off of The Mummy. So how much of him is The Rundown was the first one that was really The Rock.
Yep.
That made $47 million in 2003, which is not terrible, but it's basically break even for what that movie cost. Same with The Walking Tall. Be Cool, which is the sequel to Get Shorty, was an ensemble movie, and that was really more of a John Travolta one, and even that didn't do so well. Doom, which I think is a guilty pleasure of mine. I find it to be a really cheesy, bad, but still entertaining, like
If they did
B
not
movie.
have the first
I
person
love the
scene,
first
there would
person
be no
scene.
point in watching Doom. But
Yeah.
the first person scene is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love the first person scene, especially because Carl Urban really sells it when they have that part where he's looking in the mirror. It's,
Yep.
Gridiron Gang. I guess he had a cameo in Reno 911. Game Plan, it ironically is his first bona fide like solo hit.
I don't know that one.
That was the one where he was basically playing Tom Brady. He was the quarterback whose little daughter shows up when he's trying to win the Super Bowl.
Never
It
saw it.
it's the it's the standard like fish out of water kind of.
Oh, isn't that the one where he's like watching the little girl?
Yep, yeah, that
Like
because
it's like Mr. Nanny or one of
no,
those.
he didn't know he had a daughter. It's
Yeah.
the girl's mom passes away, if I remember right, or is out of the picture for some reason. So she tracks down her dad, who is
Yeah,
basically
but
Tom
but
Brady.
that's
He's
what
the
I'm saying.
quarterback
It's
of the
like
Boston
Mr.
football team.
Nanny or the pacifier or one of those
Yeah,
where he's got to suddenly be the father figure to this girl.
yep. And then
And he
we
has
all
no experience doing that.
yeah, we all know how well Southland Tales was. So that only
Yeah.
made $275,000.
Did that movie with Matt ever get released?
No, he didn't. He probably giggles every time the LP SWAT guy comes on screen and he can't finish editing it. Yeah, so that's where that meme came from. Southland Tales is where the meme for The Rock is, I couldn't have killed myself because I'm a pimp.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't kill himself. Uh, you can see that Race to Witch Mountain actually made more money. That was another one where it was like a Disney family movie. He was again a cameo. He was a side character in the Get Smart movie, so that wasn't really him. That made money, but that
It
was
was funny though.
that was more Steve Carell's movie.
Yep.
But I like Get Smart. So you can see he's none of these are breaking even $100 million until you get
Tooth
to the
Fairy
other
was
guys,
cute. I
which is
thought Tooth Fairy was okay.
yeah, Tooth Fairy made money. It was profitable because the budget was low. Why Did I Get Married? He was just a side character with that wasn't even his movie. The Other Guys wasn't really his movie. That was a Will Ferrell and um,
Wahlberg, wasn't it?
Mark Wahlberg. I love The Other Guys, by the way. It is hilarious. If people don't, I think it's one of the more underrated comedies probably in the last 15, 20 years.
Dude, the first 10 minutes of the movie are fantastic.
Yeah, because that's the part with The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
And it's great. Faster, which is a low budget, really solid action movie, but didn't make much money. I mean, he was the first appearance of him as Hobbs in Fast and Furious that made big money, but that's not his
Ensemble.
movie. Journey to the Mysterious Island, that one is kind of his movie, so that made 100 million. Again, he's doing better with family movies than he does as an action star.
Right.
It's just a funny, thing like that. Like Spy Hunter didn't even get released. Snitch. GI Joe Retaliation made $122 million, but the budget on that thing was over the top, so it wasn't successful.
Well,
I mean,
and you said it yourself, right? Like having a lot of success with the family movies. I don't know why Disney hasn't figured this out yet, but like if you ditch the programming and just start making wholesome family films again, like you could get back on track so quick. So
Well,
quickly.
and with masculine men.
Yeah.
yep. Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Ditch
Yeah.
this programming thing that you're trying to do and just go back to the good old-fashioned family values, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome ones over on your side, Brahma, says Yo Yo.
So
Yo yo, Rugman, what's up? Give me some passe.
Yeah, I think I was telling Slender this. I had just gotten a copy of Angels in the Outfield. I like Angels in the Outfield. It's a nice wholesome family movie from around 1994, and I was watching the end of it, and I was like,
Danny
man,
Glover says I'm too old for this shit.
Danny Glover is playing the manager. He's deciding to adopt Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character along with the other foster child because, and they're super excited because they want a father figure. Joseph Gordon-Levitt has been trying to get his father's attention. That was the whole reason he was praying for the angels to win so that his father would come and be in his life again. This entire movie is predicated on the value of a father figure in a son's life. And it also has a theme of faith and prayer and getting reward, like an angels being and I was like,
All
oh
the
my
things
god.
Disney
I
hates.
was I was like, there's no way 2024 Disney could even like get near this movie. And it's like when you're watching it, it's just so wholesome and there's nothing to be upset about watching this movie. Why can't we just have that? I have a 9-year-old son. I want to take him to the movies. He wants me to take him to the movies. I have 2 movies this year that I've earmarked that I can probably take him to: Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Despicable Me 4. Where there's nothing else I feel comfortable being able to take him to go see. And that's terrible. Awesome One's right. They don't know what a family is.
They lost the plot somewhere along the
Well,
way.
that's since we've all been talking about X-Men. I mean, we started circulating the clip of Nightcrawler,
Nightcrawler
when
talking about faith.
talking to Wolverine about God, and then Wolverine accepting Christ in the episode. And I think it was season 2, episode 8, from what everybody's been saying. But yeah, that's not going to be in the new series.
Oh, dude, that
And
was one of
they'll
my favorite arcs too. That's why Nightcrawler was one of my favorites. Like, I know a lot of people liked him because he's all like dark and cool and brooding and everything, but like, I liked him because he was Christian, like a devout fucking Christian.
He was like super devout Catholic. That was one of his
Yeah,
yeah.
primary
that was my
driving
boy
forces.
right there.
And
Yep.
and they fucked that up. Soul says, take him to see Madam Wed, Chad. Then you won't have to take him anywhere again. No, I actually,
Yeah, I'm going to see another movie. Nah, it's cool, Dad. I don't want to go see a movie with you ever.
I was telling him, I was talking to my son because he was like, "Where are you going, Dad?" And I was like, "I'm going to get Slender, and we're gonna go see Madam Web because we actually watched the old Spider-Man cartoon from the '90s because you could get it on DVD. I've gotten it and we watch it." And I tell him, I was like, you remember the Madam Web character from that cartoon? He's like, yeah, because he watched it. He really loved that Spider-Man cartoon. And I was like, so they made a movie for her and Spider-Man isn't in it. And he's like, why would they do that? And I was like, you know what? It took a 9-year-old to probably ask the one question that a Sony executive should have opened his mouth and asked. Why would we do this? I want to make a Madam Web movie and Spider-Man's not going to be in it. Why would you do that?
On top of that, it's a superhero movie that has no superheroes.
Yeah.
The only time you see the girls actually do anything in their costumes is in a dream.
Both times.
That's another thing that pissed me off about it. The choreography in that fucking movie was absolute hot fucking garbage. There are so many times when you watch them go through their little fucking choreographed fight moves, right? And then one of them doesn't have a move to do, but the other one does, so they just stop. They don't flow into it like there's an actual fight. They freeze and just wait for whatever's supposed to happen next before they do their next thing. Like when she gets stabbed in the one flashback, like you watch her try to stab him, he does his thing where he takes the knife away from her. She stops moving entirely. Doesn't do a fucking thing. Just watches while he takes the knife, flips it around, pulls it back, and stabs her in the gut. She doesn't even move.
Vertical Horizon saying that Godzilla X Kong is a safe bet. Can't go wrong with giant ape fighting giant lizard. I worry about how they're making it a magenta Godzilla
It
charge
doesn't
up
start
color.
off that way if you look at the latest trailer.
Yeah, which
It's
means what? Are
blue.
they transing Godzilla? Like, I don't.
No, I
I
think when he goes to the so we saw that kind of energy in the last movie when they went into Hollow Earth. I think he's going to recharge down in Hollow
I
Earth.
know, but I'm very I know that it's probably being overly worried about it, but it's like Jesus, I can't help but feel like I'm being agended when they're even using the like the trans colors for Godzilla. It's
I don't
a
know.
subtle thing.
I thought different colors meant different levels of power for Godzilla. Like I thought magenta was higher than blue.
I
It's just
don't know.
more powerful
I
now.
Because there have
Yeah.
been other portrayals of him with it.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
see. I watched an interview of the head of marketing and cartoon movie production for Barbie for nearly 25 years, made sure Barbie always had morals and family values, which makes sense. You if you're
And he
selling Barbie
retired
dolls
about 10
10
years
years
ago.
ago,
Go figure.
And
Bad Take
Godzillionaire is
Bojan,
saying no on the
bad
magenta.
yeah, Bad Take Bojan is popping the ambience, so let's look forward to some fun chats soon. Soul Assassin might not be related to Madam Web, but the writer's room for the Silk series got scrapped except for the showrunners, according to. I hope it's related. Silk is a stupid character.
Okay,
It's
well, as far as Godzillionaire, okay, you probably know better than I do.
Yeah.
I am really just applying video game logic to it here, right? Like we know purple is more powerful than blue. After purple, you generally go into the yellow or the
Yellow for
orange.
legendary.
yeah. And we've got the lovely Sherry joining the chat. Hey,
Then
thanks
you
for
hit
being
the
here.
mythic legendaries when you get like the red.
I saw a story that made me think of you guys, which was about it was an article about how Diablo is basically going like full scam on their microtransactions, charging
Oh,
people
Diablo,
to.
I'm done. I don't know that I'm ever coming back to Diablo. I'm looking for something else now. I'm probably migrating to Last Epoch.
No, but apparently, I guess they've got a package where you can buy
A
specific
$45 horse or a
custom
$100 expansion? Which one?
custom colors for your portals, but colors are only available like one. Each class has one color, and so you can only use that color if you're of the specific class, and it's just like a rip off. And they're charging like $30 for it. And I don't know.
And Asmongold will probably buy it.
My
I'll be
diehard Diablo
back.
friend done with it as
Are you
well.
talking about I'll be back to Diablo 4? Because I probably won't. I'll be the first to tell you. The story was fantastic, but there was no end game. Like, once you finish the story, there's just nothing to fucking do.
Let's see. The ad for the new season of American Idol has a thing audition, and the logo is surrounded with the Transformers lighting. Probably, yeah. Godzillionaire gave up bourbon and whiskey for Lent. That Weller in the background is taunting me.
Sorry.
I gave up smoking for Lent, and I mean, Brahma has been very nice and hasn't given me too much shit today, and I still want to rip his fucking face off just because I
You
can
always
see
do.
it on the screen.
Oh, you see there's a cigarette.
I don't have a cigarette on the screen.
No, he hasn't smoked. He's been very accommodating. I'm full of so much hate because I haven't had any cigarettes.
I don't. Yeah,
I'm
I
on
do.
day 3. It's killing me.
If I remember when my parents were quitting smoking, it was an intense first week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Although,
Yeah, especially if both of you are trying to quit.
yeah, except my mother.
It's the only way we can manage, because if one of us is still going, well then,
Yeah,
we'll smell
that's
cigarettes.
how it works with me and my wife too.
Yep. And the second I smell the cigarettes, I want one. And I know that they're cigarettes because obviously she's smoking them.
Right.
Rama will have an intervention behind the shed for little Chad. What? Are you mixing up which one of us is quitting smoking? Yeah. And then Godzillionaire just noticed Mr. Orange Man above the Bigley bottle. That is a pretty funny little cap you got there.
That's my It's actually, I was showing the guys last night. It is actually for your pressure cooker. You put it on the valve, the steam release valve, and all the steam comes shooting out of his mouth. So
It's
they were
pretty
trying to
funny.
be mean about it, saying that he only blows hot air, but I still bought it anyway
Well,
because
that's isn't
it's
that just
awesome.
some that just sums Trump stuff up in a nutshell. Like even the stuff they think is gonna be like silly and make you know, like no, that's actually pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
my
cool with
pressure
it.
cooker has, when I release the steam on it, it blows out of Trump. It's great.
it's like the memes I see on Twitter all the time where like if you elect Trump, he's just gonna have a massive deportation force and send millions of peoples out of the country. And I'm like, do you want me to vote harder for him? Stop
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
that. Like,
You've
like
already
that
sold
sounds
me.
great.
it's like,
I feel like we
uh,
need some of that.
it would be funnier if he was coming out of his ears. Probably was today when that judge made that stupid decision in New York. But um,
Yeah.
now, who had steam coming out of wherever yesterday was Fannie Willis or whatever her name is, because she got caught red-handed. I always keep not Slender. Have you ever kept $9,000 to $15,000 in cash in your home that you
Oh
took
yeah,
out?
all the time.
Yeah,
Like at any given time, I just I pull a little out every time that I'm at the grocery store or anything. I take like an extra 50, and I've got like a pillowcase that I've just stuffed full of cash for no apparent fucking reason, and I just keep it around the house.
that was
No.
like it was the most ridiculous
Well, and she admitted to
explanation.
a felony on the stand.
Yeah, when she said, "I took out extra, I just had extra money from my campaign that I just used."
Yeah,
this,
that I
it's
just kept.
it's funny that every time something like this happens against Trump, the people attacking them somehow admit to doing the exact thing they're accusing Trump of doing. Like right
Right.
now, Trump is facing criminal charges in New York for bookkeeping fraud, which they have elevated from a misdemeanor to a felony, which is already stupid. And
It wasn't very effective.
using funds to pay off Stormy.
Right.
What Fannie Wells just admitted yesterday under oath was that she effectively used campaign cash to pay off her boyfriend for personal trips that she took.
650,000 or so that she has paid him so far.
Well, that's what
And
she's
he
paid him
is
out of the county, yeah.
right, and he is not a good prosecutor. I mean, he's not qualified to be doing any of this. He's never done a RICO case. He's basically an ambulance chaser.
Yeah, he's a civil penalties right. I mean, I worked I worked dealing with lawyers who did that business.
Dude, the
And
thing that baffles me about it more than anything else is almost everything that they are trying to get Trump on. Like we have watched Joe Biden do the exact same fucking thing. And they just keep going like it's like nah, it's apples and oranges. It's totally
Yeah.
different. It's totally different when the old senile man who doesn't know where he is does it.
Well,
all
and
right.
But
that's
when
exactly what
Trump
they
did it,
said.
I just found
yeah.
this on Twitter and I had to share it because it made me laugh.
Yeah, we're gonna miss that in the new one.
We're gonna miss that Rogue had an ass back in the
Yep.
1990s.
Rogue was great for
I
all of us
actually
at a certain age at that
I
point.
liked Rogue better than Jean Grey, but Jean Grey was a close second because
Yeah, it definitely wasn't Jubilee.
no Jubilation Lee, no, it was.
I liked Jubilee.
Did
You
you
like
happen to
Jubilee?
catch today in the Fanny hearing that
Oh yeah, I was
her
had it on
dad?
during work. Yeah, he's like it's a black. He apparently I did not
It's a
realize was a
black folk thing.
he. Did you know he was a co-founder of the Black Panthers out in
I
California?
knew he was up there. I didn't know co-founder.
Yeah, he was one of the original founders. Like, which explains why South Africa was kicking him out because of politics.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a warning right now. We are about 20 minutes away from I could cut this stream off at any time. So if you
That
want to do
means
the
we got to
music
start a
thing,
new segment then.
All right, let's start. We're gonna go to our new segment that we really enjoyed last week, and let me make sure for for those in the chat who weren't here, we have a fun, very YouTube friendly channel that has 80s versus 90s song quiz. So they're going to play a little clip, and you can either try to name both the artist and the song, just the artist. We'll see who can do the best. And this one is a rock version.
I get the feeling Brahma's going to dominate this week because my neural synapses are not running on their usual
Not
fuel.
concentrating.
So I can't remember shit at all right now.
Let's see what we got.
Let the battle begin.
There's a freeway.
Free fall on Tom Petty.
Yeah,
I mean he's right. I could not think of the name of it.
You wanted to go with Free Bird, didn't you?
Oh boy. Oh, well. Slender, this is gonna be fun. Come Tuesday. Oh Jesus, yeah.
Oh yeah, if you thought I was angry when we played Party Animals before.
By the way, it's gonna be fun. I mean, if you were dragging Smokey around and not letting him go, like how that's gonna go. All right, now next one. So I think is 90.
Nirvana. Come As You
Are. Smokey Slender is gonna solo everyone, including teammates, on Tuesday.
We'll just keep everything on Battle Royale.
That is not. Yeah, that was a little bit of a typo. Okay, I was like Nirvana.
Yeah, but
as
it's
you
a
are,
30
Teen Spirit.
It's like a 15-20 second delay, Godzillionaire.
Come As You Are and Teen Spirit are not the same song.
I will wait until after it's gone to silent and he's paused it.
And it's not Teen Spirit, it smells like Teen Spirit, right?
Come as you are, as you were.
All right. All right.
I Love
I don't
Rock
know
and
the name
Roll.
of
Is
the
that
band.
Joan Jett?
Might be.
I Love Rock and Roll is Joan Jett. She was she had already moved on from what was the band she was in? Was the
Banshees? I don't know.
Soul Assassin. Got it, Joan Jett. Hey chat, what was the band Joan Jett was in before she became a solo artist? It was
The Rock Lobsters.
no
B-52s? No.
No, they did Cherry because they did Cherry Bomb.
Oh,
Oh, Cherry Bomb.
yeah. The Runaways is what Imperatus says.
Yeah, because Runaways. That's the right answer. Yep, that was
The Blackhearts was the band that played with her as Joan Jett.
Yep. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. By the way, look, we're just doing random 80s. It's so much better. We were talking about this. The reason we play this with the 80s and 90s, music was good and it was fun. And even the pop and silly stuff it's good. So if you're younger, start listening to the good music.
It's just like Buddy Holly.
Weezer.
Yeah.
Yep, that was
Buddy Holly.
Weezer,
Yep.
Buddy Holly. Woo. That was cool. Do you remember that was a secret embed in Windows 95?
No.
There, if you went into I forget it was within the system files, they actually had the Buddy Holly video, like a really
yeah.
low grade version of it. It was hilarious.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right, Empress. It was the Happy Days video for Buddy Holly.
Are we giving you guys enough time to guess now? I'm trying to hold them in.
Are you talking about the audience getting enough time?
Yeah, they were saying I can't type as fast as Brahma talks, so I said I would wait until we paused before I said the answers.
Oh, I'll do that
Yeah.
too then.
Yeah. So all right. Back to the 80s.
You got it, Slender?
Let's see if chat.
No.
Guns N' Roses.
That was definitely.
I knew it was Guns
was
N' Roses, but I don't know what song that was.
Was that Paradise City? It
Might
sounded
have
like Paradise
I
City,
believe
but it
it's
sounded
Paradise
slightly
City.
off.
Yeah.
They might have picked a part of it that was a little less. Kickstart
Oh,
My
Kickstart
Heart.
My Heart? Okay.
No, it's not Kickstart My Heart.
And that's not Guns N' Roses either.
Yeah, I think Godzillionaire is the consensus
Take me down to the Paradise City
is
where
Paradise
the grass
City.
is green and the
Yeah,
girls,
the girls
are
are pretty.
Probably. I guess it's the weirdest part of the song.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
but-
weird portion.
Let's circle back to how Bride of Slender got Kickstart My Heart from that.
The guitar.
Because
of
she
the
hears
guitar?
what she wants to hear.
Yes, it is good stuff, awesome one. All right. But she is also quitting smoking, so I'm not picking her up. We're going to move on.
Trust I seek and I find in you.
Metallica.
Metallica.
Nothing
Gotta think
else
through this song.
matters.
Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters, yeah. Sometimes I have to sing a few more of the lyrics until I get to the part that I can get the name
Yeah,
of it.
you gotta get to the refrain.
Is there another band more than Metallica that burned like their fan bridges by being like tools? Like you're supposed to be an anti-establishment, rockers, and you're like,
Yeah,
"Fuck
Rage
you."
Against the Machine.
You're like, fuck you downloading our music. It's like-
Like
Yeah,
I said,
Rage did it pretty bad.
there is one band that is worse, and that's Rage Against the Machine.
oh yeah, Rage Against the Machine, because if you're not vaccinated, you can't come to our show. So Tom Morello, who is super ragey against machines, is telling me I have to get on board with Big Pharma in order to do this. That's very ragey.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I kind of agree with Imperatus. I thought Rage was a bit of an overrated band to begin with. But
hate
yeah,
him.
I remember you wouldn't download a car. That was the stupidest thing.
Yeah.
Yes, Tom Morello, and he's a classic commie in that he's 100% for power and people in power, which is a traditional communist trait. And anytime someone comes at me with real communism has never actually been tried. Yeah, because after being 0 for 200,
Dude, okay, sometimes in order to rage against the machine, you have to grab all the machine's dicks and put them right in your mouth.
Oh, that's true.
What's up, Free the Net?
And nothing else matters. TV hour, don't get caught in foreign tower, slash and burn, return, listen to yourself churn.
REM, Into the World as We Know It.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
I really
I
wouldn't
was
put that one in the 80s.
I was thinking about Tommy Boy and David Spade trying to sing the song while they were
Right.
driving down the road.
Yep.
Was that
it
one
is-
really in the 80s? I would have thought 90s on that.
It might have been 89.
No, that's 80s.
World
Late
as-
80s, but 80s.
Let's see.
Yeah.
It was released in 1987.
Okay.
It's just been popular it stayed popular.
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the
Well, I was just thinking more of like Losing My Religion felt like it was like 93, 94 or something like that. So it seemed like that was more when they really got big, but I don't know. I guess I was wrong.
It's all right. I mean, was it the one that they used it in Independence Day? I remember that was
I think so.
Yeah, it was Independence Day Emperors where they used it. And they wanted, I think Microsoft wanted to use it
For
for
2K,
Windows
Y2K.
95. No, for Windows 95, but they didn't. I think REM or somehow it didn't come together, so they ended up doing "Start Me Up" by the Rolling Stones, which was one of their newer singles of the '90s.
Yeah.
So
Green Day, When I Come Around. From the album Dookie. Year was 1995, I believe.
yeah, I mean Green Day was what was how do I put this? Was a divisive band to say the least. Like there were a lot of really rock, especially punk rock people who just absolutely despise Green Day and felt like they were the biggest posers. They're not really punk. And I can't say that they were proven wrong because Green Day did definitely kind of not really stay punk. I don't know.
Right,
Dude,
but
I liked Green Day until they started telling me how they felt about my country, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, well,
we used to just
fuck
make fun
you."
of them because they were. I mean, they really only knew 3 chords for most of
Yep.
their careers.
Which, by the
So-
way, is a very punk rock thing to do. Punk rock bands usually
Right,
just
but they didn't play it hard or loud like punk.
Yeah, that's the
They
thing with
felt
punk.
like they wanted to be punk, but they were never very punky.
Yeah, they were Punky Brewster. All right, let's see what we got next.
Pour some sugar on me.
Def Leppard, the one-armed drummer.
But I'm a drummer. That was, oh, that yeah, I think that was a good one. Let's see. Wait, beach Green Day is more beach punk.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Send that over to
ooh,
culture.
Ooh,
Yep.
Def Leppard Armageddon.
Close
Unless
but
that's
no
like
cigar.
unless that's a different name to the song that I know.
No, there's
All
a
right.
song that they've got called Armageddon.
All right, well, Emperors, I think you're gonna end up not winning on that one. Let's see.
pour some sugar on me.
Yeah,
Pour some sugar on me.
you know
Is that what it
she's
said?
quitting
Oh.
smoking too. So just remember when you.
Oh, that's what
Yeah, I
Brad
just
said.
shut my mouth. Never mind.
Oh, I'm feeling coming back.
Live
Live. I
from
saw
the album
them live.
Throwing Copper,
Yeah.
released in '93, I believe. Lightning crashes.
Now I'm never quitting.
I can feel it.
Live was great. I saw them at HF Festival and they were awesome.
They were the
I
last
like
band
Live.
I saw before well, no, they were the first band I saw after everything, came back open, and they were opening for Counting Crows, and nobody seemed to know who Live was. I was so
How do you-
pissed.
If you're going to a Counting Crows concert, how the fuck do you not know Live? There's got to be the biggest Venn diagram of overlap in my life for people who like Counting Crows and people who like Live.
But that was right after Live got back together, because remember, the whole band had sued Ed, the lead singer,
Oh, that's true.
and he didn't
Right.
remember half the lyrics to the songs
Oh, that
in that
sucks.
show. And then Counting Crows was horrible.
Counting Crows was. Oh, I saw them. They were on tour with Matchbox 20.
Yeah.
And that was a really good show. They were actually really good. I mean, they sounded like the Counting Crows, right? And then Matchbox 20 was great. It was and we had lawn seats, and so we only had to pay like $20.
Yeah.
because it was at one of those big venues where you could do that. That's the big venues where you only have to pay like $20 a ticket make you feel very good about going to a concert when
Yeah.
you see how much like real seats cost and you're like, I'm not paying like the tickets like inside and the seated area were like $150. I was like, for Matchbox 20? No,
I'm fine
not
for
paying
sitting
that.
on a lawn.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Counting
haven't been
Crows,
to-
what they did was they would stop every single song in the middle of it. Not even like jam through it. Just stop so that he could sit there and tell you what he was thinking at the time that he wrote the song.
Well, that's stupid. I'm glad that they were the opening act for Matchbox 20, so they just played their hits.
Yeah. And he refused to play Mr. Jones.
Oh
He
no, they
said-
played that one.
He said, "We choose what we want to play. We don't really care what you guys like."
Oh, that's the worst.
And I was like, I'm never listening to you guys again.
Crashes over the crying.
Throwing Copper was one of the best albums of the night.
I mean, I'm going to say that technically counts as a rock song right there, but
It's got both of them. It's Aerosmith and Run DMC.
yeah.
Walk This Way.
Walk This Way. Which has that been banned from radio yet for being transphobic?
I don't know. There's a few of them that they could do. Like, Dude Looks Like a Lady.
The one that comes to mind is Lola.
Lola, yeah, by the Kinks.
Yeah. Coming back again. Are we still? I think she's back on live. Okay. That was a really big hit too. I mean, I guess. Let's see. I love the Pat McAfee saying how much he hated U2 Live because they played 25 songs and not a single hit. Yeah, he was talking on his show about it because they went to that crazy thing in
To the
Las
Sphere?
Vegas, the Sphere, and they paid like $1,500 a ticket. And if I paid $1,500 a ticket to see U2 and they didn't play One Love or any of the goddamn hits, I would have been like, "Fuck you, U2."
See, I think McAfee's probably a new U2 lover, not an old U2 lover, because what they're doing is the old Fly concert that they did back in the 90s. So it's Octung Baby and Joshua Tree.
Well, then
So
how
it's
are
a
you
lot of the
complaining?
Octung Baby album that they're doing.
Well, those are hits.
Those are the hits. It's the
Yeah.
new stuff that's crap.
Yeah, I mean, okay, then I take it back. Then Pat McAfee's the one who's off his rocker.
Octung Baby and the Joshua Tree and the ones before it were great. Godzillionaire.
Oh boy, you and me, baby, ain't
He
nothing,
ain't
but,
nothing
mammals.
but mammals.
Discovery
Bloodhound
Channel.
Gang. The song is called The Bad Touch.
Yep, you and me, baby.
Oh, is
ain't
the
nothing
song
but
called The Bad
mammals.
Touch?
Yes. it
Yeah.
is.
No one has
Or
ever
no.
referred to this
Is
song
it Bad
as The
Touch or is it
Touch.
Discovery Channel?
No, it's the bad
Discovery
touch.
Channel.
It's the bad
Yeah,
touch.
it's Bad Touch.
It's bad touch.
Is it?
There's only one song better by Bloodhound Gang, and that's "Lap Dance is Better" when the
Dances are
stripper
always
is
better.
when the stripper
I
is
don't
crying.
think that song is better.
I think
Yeah,
almost
you're a
every
fan.
song they've ever done is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's no ballad of Chasey Lane, that's for sure.
Yeah. Bad Touch is probably the song I like least of theirs.
Yeah, because it's the one that got the most.
Yeah. Well, it was the dance club crap.
I had a tiger.
Everybody's
I had the
gotta
tiger.
get this
It's
one by
Survivor.
Survivor. Yep. Okay, yeah. There's a throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, but is he talking about watching what she did or
That's
the
a good
song?
question. That's a good question because could be, she was there at the beginning of the internet age, so
Yep.
man, Survivor has a whole career thanks to Sylvester Stallone.
Godzillionaire said the answer is yes.
I got nothing.
This is
Break out of it here and now.
no.
Will we
I know the whole song. I just don't know. Like it's
Chad's gonna get there before I do.
I do
Yeah,
remember the
Fuel,
Fire, the
Bittersweet.
Sweet.
Okay, yeah. I was
That was
kinda big
big
on
right
Fuel.
around the time Twister came out.
Fuel had a yeah, like they were pretty good. Oh
No,
shimmer, fade away.
Yeah, wasn't it Fuel that did Long Way Down, or was that no, that wasn't Fuel, was it?
I don't
No,
remember.
Long Way Down
That was another band that
uh,
was just like them that I can't remember right
they
off
were
the top of
all
my
like
head.
but at that point in the late 90s, they all kind of started blending together.
Yeah, they were all
That was
trying to
Goo
get
Goo
away
Dolls.
from grunge.
Yeah,
It
Long
was
Way
what?
Down was
Goo Goo
Goo
Goo Goo Dolls. Yep. That was the one in Twister.
You know what the song that I got really sick of was the Come My Lady. Come My Lady.
Oh, yeah.
That was like everywhere and it was the stupidest song.
Yep.
Do you remember that one, Slender? How everywhere that song was?
I never thought that band was all that good to begin with, and if I remember correctly, they did another song called Zombie that I thought was better, but never got any radio play.
Zombie, the only zombie song I remember was Cranberries, right?
Nope,
Right.
not that one.
Yeah, that was the good one.
Crazy Town.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Oh, I know this one. Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust was the album, and it's called well, it's Beds Are Burning.
Beds Are
Yeah.
Burning.
Yeah, of course, Davina's like right there. Crazy Town, Butterfly.
Yep.
That was the song that bothered me so much.
You're my butterfly, sugar,
So-
baby.
Yeah, Slender, you nailed that one. I know that this is another one where I can like I hear the entire song in my head and I just didn't have the name.
He became like an
time has
Australian
come to say
senator or
there's
something.
fair to pay the rent now, to pay our shit. My dad had this song on like my I listened to it all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was a great song. But yeah, the
If you're
lead
enjoying
singer,
the content, hit the
the lead singer
subscribe
went
button.
on to become like a senator in Australia,
Back
I
to
think. Like a
No.
very left leaning senator.
Oh, that one's
There goes my hero.
there's
Foo
Foo
Fighters.
Fighters. Yep.
My
Yep.
hero,
There, I mean, anybody who's seen
Varsity
Blues.
Blues. I knew
I had to
exactly where
sing
you were
my
going
way
with
to the
that.
part that I remembered.
I mean, come on, it was epically used in that movie too. So it's epically
That
fun.
movie had a great soundtrack.
Yes, it did. It had a great soundtrack. There goes my hero.
Hooray.
Do you remember how shocking it was when you found out Dave Grohl was like so multi-talented? You're like,
That
wait
he
a
was
second.
more than just the
That
drummer of
he's just
Nirvana.
because you're used to like, oh, he was the drummer. The drummer from Nirvana's putting out. He's lead singer now. What are
Yeah.
you talking about? Like, yeah, Foo Fighters were awesome, and I remember there was the Mentos video they made where which song was it when they made fun of? You remember their video was making fun of
Yeah.
the Mentos commercials.
I'm trying to
I don't know, but
remember
that was a
it.
good video.
It made me laugh.
I can
every
hear the
time.
tune.
I don't got it.
Hit me with,
Hit me
your,
with your
best
best shot,
Pat Benatar.
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 By the way, I haven't actually watched this one, so I don't know the answers ahead of time. So.
Okay, and Davina's right. It was "Big Me" was the name of the song with the Mentos.
Oh, that was that
thing.
I love that. I gotta find the video for that. Them hit me with your best shot. Yep.
Them
Chat's
cross
getting,
dressing and stuff.
That's right. Because what was hilarious? This was Pat Benatar was heavily featured in 13 Going on 30, which was supposed to be about a girl who was a 12 or 13-year-old in like 1987 who was still listening to music from 1982, and that's probably why she wasn't friends with any of the it was
I know the song, but I got
Karma
nothing.
Police.
Karma Police. Okay, Computer was the album. Band was Radiohead.
Radiohead. You're that band Radiohead, and we think you suck, Scott Tenorman. That was the best episode of South Park they've ever done. Single episode.
Scott Tenorman must die.
Yeah. We're that band. I'm gonna get that band Radiohead. It's his favorite band. I'm gonna get them to say he sucks on live. Why
Is
are
that
you
the one where
crying?
Cartman was licking up his tears at the
Yes,
end?
after he
'Cause
fed him his parents.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that the rancher is a crazy man who shoots trespassers on sight. Well, I got a rights, and they were trespassing on my land. So, what was my favorite line out of that was when he's like, chef's. I switched it with chef's chili. It was delicious. That was the only thing I hadn't planned on. Yeah. When I heard the word Radiohead, I turned it off. Yeah.
I liked Creep, and I never liked another thing from them. And that's
Yeah.
the song that they hate most.
My police. I mean,
Jump.
that's
Van
that's
Halen.
yeah. That's one of the like iconic riffs of the '80s.
Yep.
Jump. You got David Lee Roth. Which side did you coming down on the David Lee Roth Van Halen split? From Airheads. Or,
Yeah. Or Van
gonna be-
Hagar.
They sold a lot of albums. You're a pig, cop. Oh,
Oh, Slender is still there.
I just watched Airheads the other day.
I love it. The Lone Rangers. You can't pluralize that. One of the part that makes me laugh in the Airheads the most is when they're in prison at the very end, and Steve Buscemi is like doing the hip dry like thrusts.
Oh, he's
And they're
dry
like-
humping the bass.
And the guy's like, stop it, like because they point out like the prisoners who are looking at him. He's like, oh shit, and he's looking at her. I forgot which crowd I was playing.
That's okay, man.
The
'cause I like
Offspring.
the
Abuse.
abuse.
Self-esteem.
1995
1995 as well.
Man, Offspring there was so many good songs off that Offspring album.
Smash.
Yeah.
Smash
Yeah, that-
was an amazing fucking
Yes.
album from start
it
to
was.
finish.
Yep.
Yes, Soul Assassin. Airheads is classic. It doesn't get enough airtime. Brendan Fraser has been disrespected in Hollywood his whole career, and he's done nothing but make movies that are great, with the exception of the movies that sucked.
But those were still good too.
Yeah, even like George of the Jungle still has some entertainment value. But yeah, Offspring. One of my favorite Offspring songs that came later was "Why Don't You Get a Job?"
Yeah.
it's such a great anthem for like bitch.
Dude, the
I've seen them-
Offspring has a lot of good shit.
Oh
And
yeah.
then Pretty Fly for a White Guy, which was a great indictment of. I knew so many people who fell into that category in my
Yep.
high school, and we all every time they'd walk by, we'd always after that song came out, I was like, "It's okay, he's pretty fly for a white guy."
They've consistently put out good stuff through
Yeah.
multiple decades. The problem is now, like I saw them it's got to be 10 years ago now, but he can't hit any of the notes anymore. He's sang so high for a rock singer.
Mhm.
Now, as an old man, he cannot hit any of it.
Oh, that sucks.
It's sad.
That's the worry when you're
Bring
trying
out
to
the
get.
auto tuner.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in chat
Back
should
in
be.
black.
AC/DC Back in Black.
I mean, that one. This quiz is great because they're good songs, but they haven't been as hard as the last ones. Yep, Back in Black, AC/DC. Chat knows but think of how good the riffs were, man. You hear just the riff and you know.
Which is why everything samples all of these songs now.
Yeah.
And kids don't know that they're all samples.
Oh, this one I tuned.
I've got it.
I know the song, but I can't think of the name of it.
Okay, what's the song?
Well, how's it go? Like, do you know? Like,
The song is Tomorrow by Silverchair from the album Frog Stomp.
oh, is it
okay.
the
Not the Toadies.
No, that's not the Toadies.
Silverchair?
Doesn't even
Toadies
sound
I've seen
like
like
the
7
Toadies.
times. These guys were like 16 or 17 when they did
Yep.
this.
Make a grown man cry. I mean, this is
You've already
another-
I've
mentioned
heard the
it
song
tonight.
before.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it.
This is "Start Me Up" by
Start Me Up by the Rolling
the
Stones.
Rolling Stones.
Mm.
You mentioned it earlier already.
Yeah, because I didn't even realize it would be in there later. Start me up.
You didn't give chat very much time on that one.
I feel like once we, said we talked about it earlier in the video. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I know it. It's Collective Soul.
But what's the name of the fucking song?
Collective Soul was another one with a couple really good hits.
They had quite a few.
Yeah.
Heaven Let
Enough
Your
for a
Light
full.
Shine Down.
Yeah, shine.
Yeah. Collective Soul, like, man, I forgot. There, at some point, I'm gonna guess because I haven't listened to it, but since it's gonna have '90s mixing in, and it's rock. I wonder if they're gonna throw Verve Pipe in there too, since it's so distinctive.
The Freshman.
Yep.
That was that was 90s. That was 96 or 97.
Collective Soul was overrated.
Oh, no.
Oh, you've got to go back and listen to
Oh,
a selection
no.
of songs.
I'm gonna
'cause
pause
they
right
had
here.
some good ones.
They were just good songs. I mean,
You got to
They
get
never-
away
they
from
never got
like
their hooks in me.
you got to get away from December and the big hits that they had and go to a few of their other songs that were minor hits, and they're
Well,
a much better band if you ignored
They're
December.
90s too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 90s I started making my shift over to metal. I was listening
wonder-
to like Korn and Slipknot and whatnot.
I wonder if Pat McAfee would get this one.
Sunday Bloody Sunday by U2.
Yeah, they probably played it. I wonder if he was like, "Well, that's not a hit, motherfucker."
Yep.
Is like, that is an interesting thing though. If you go see a band that's been successful for like decades like that, you're going to have fans who may only be familiar with, even if you're only familiar with the last 20 years of U2, you're going to think all this stuff is like crap because you've never heard it, even though you should be like, these are great songs. These are amazing songs.
Yeah.
Because you've got 30 years. Because U2 started, wasn't Bono and those guys only like 19 or
Bride
18?
of Slender is using the voice to text right now. That's what's happening here.
No,
Is Bloody Sunday.
No, look up here. YouTube. YouTube. YouTube.
but with a band like U2, they went so much from being an instrumental, you could call them a rock band, even though there was very soft rock for most of it, except for Rock Toon Baby, to going into full pop and dance. So, yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of people that only know the U2 that is full pop and dance music, and they probably would never care for anything that was
I love
prior
this from
to.
Soul Assassin. U2, the only band that Apple needed to develop an app to remove their free album off its phone.
Which was about when they went absolutely bad.
Yeah.
Before that, they were still putting out a couple good songs on albums, but that album and past it is
What
just
was the
trash
name of
from
the
them.
song that they did where Edge was singing, was like spoken word singing
Numb.
it? It was that weird video.
It was
Yeah.
Numb off of the, it wasn't the pop album. or was it pop? But the song is called Numb, N-U-M-B.
Davina, I still have that stupid YouTube album. Listen to it once. That's about what everybody who got it downloaded on their phones did.
It sounds familiar. I don't know
It's-
what it
The
is.
song is
I will
Lover
be your
or You.
woman,
A woman.
and it's dude, it has like the that's the one that sampled like the Star Wars theme.
That
Yeah, it's
it's
your woman,
but
I'm
I
trying
wouldn't
to
have
think
even,
of the band.
I wouldn't have considered this rock.
There's a couple on here I wouldn't have considered rock.
I have no idea on the band because I never would have listened to this on purpose.
White Town. Yep. Davina got it right right when we unpaused it. That chat came through.
Have to sell your
Shout.
soul.
That's
Tears for
Tears
Fears.
for Fears. I mean, oh man, awesome one. He was at the World Economic Forum. Oh, that sounds about like him, but
Oh yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. He's become such an activist piece of crap.
yeah. This tells you right now, like this is you know when a song is iconic, like the entire chat is just immediately dropping like
Yeah.
the name.
Disturbed did an interesting version of that one.
Did they? Nice.
Shout 2000.
Disturbed did a lot of covers.
They do one per album, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not bad. What else we did? Hello Darkness. That's not rock. I'm
That
sorry.
is, it
That's
is.
not
It's Pearl
fucking
Jam.
rock.
Yeah,
It's
it
Pearl
was-
Jam.
They re-recorded a rock song from the 60s.
That's
the
like
60s,
that is
yeah.
easy listening.
It was their biggest hit also. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
You wouldn't put that up next to the Lone Rangers, I'll tell you that.
It's Last Kiss.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like Armageddon soundtrack for
Oh, where could my
Aerosmith.
baby be? The
when you're
Lord
like,
took her away from me,
Aerosmith
blah,
has
blah.
like
Hate
one
that song.
number one hit in their entire career, and it's and it's from
It's
the
from Armageddon,
It's
yeah.
the Armageddon song, and it's like what's like hey, Pearl Jam, they're the longest lasting grunge band. They had the highest selling album ever when it came out for like for 30 years. They had that record. What's their biggest hit? It's Last Kiss.
Last Kiss.
It's not not any of the ones you would think of. Because you know what this unlocked? The power of the girl vote.
Yeah.
Because in addition to the regular Pearl Jam buyers, all the girls ran out for this one.
Moving on.
Microwave ovens.
Got the kitchen
Delivery.
delivery. We don't
Dire
play that
Straits.
song on MTV
Nope,
no more.
no, we don't. Because see that little guy. See that little guy. Do
That
this.
little guy.
Yeah.
Dire Straits, money for nothing.
See
ain't
that.
nothing.
See that bundle.
That's the
See
way
that.
you do it.
See that bundle of firewood.
That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV.
Yeah, Davina, that was banned, and now they just have edited versions of it, which is
Do you know how that song came to be? He was in a store and he overheard like a salesman talking to a manager or something in the store, like an appliance store, and
Saying
all the
those
lyrics are
exact
him
things.
just writing down what they were saying.
yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense because it is such a random combination of like things to put in a song.
Money for
Nothing
nothing,
in
you choose
chicks
for free. Now that ain't working.
Oh, last one. To knock on wood. Not one who
One who had was making
makes me wonder if I could.
That's the impression that I get.
That I get.
Mighty
Obviously,
Mighty Boss Tones.
Can you tell this is the exact wheelhouse for all of our high school years?
Yeah, I know.
Man,
I will
ska.
say, it would
Ska
have
had
been
such
nice
a
if they
moment.
could have shown, Bush some love because I really liked that band. But
Glycerin, yeah,
yeah,
Glycerin would have been the one for Bush. Yeah, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Ska just doesn't. Ska had that brief 4-year window in the '90s that we were in high school.
dude, ska is like the candy corn of music. Okay, every couple of years, I find some ska and I'm like, I love ska, and then I consume some ska and then I'm like, all right, I hate ska again. Moving on.
Well, the thing was, I mean, the way us three grew up, or at least probably me and little Chad, just knowing some of the background, there was a there was the wave of ska, but then there was a Christian wave of ska that was going along at the same
Wait,
time.
there was a
So you had a
Christian
ton of
ska wave?
Christian ska bands that were coming out.
I remember
It was crazy.
there was the Boss
Interesting.
Tones and
Real
who was
Big
the
Fish.
Real Big
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Real Big Fish. Sell Out. Oh,
Record
oh,
company's gonna
you
give us
give
lots of
me
money, and everything's gonna be all right.
But do you remember the Mighty Mighty Boss Bands had the one guy in the band that was like the brother-in-law that just danced? That's all he did.
They had a Just Dancer band member. I did
Yeah,
not.
but
They
it
had
was
a
his
guy
family.
on stage that just danced. It was like his brother-in-law or something. He was dressed in a suit, and all he did was dance the whole concert long.
I'm still planning to listen to Madness One Step Beyond. Hold on a second. I never realized Smash Mouth was a cover band. They did one cover that was really huge.
Yeah, I can only think of one cover.
They did was it I'm a Believer, right? For Shrek.
Was it that one? Yeah, I think so.
What other one was a cover?
I was just trying to think. I didn't really care for Smash Mouth, so I'm trying to think back through all their stuff. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the original one was by the Monkees. Shrek made Smash. No, Soul Assassin. I hate to break it to you. Smash Mouth was. If you don't remember, All Star was
hey,
gigantic.
now you're an all.
I think All Star was way bigger than.
Yeah, Smash
I'm-
Mouth was pretty big before Shrek.
I think All Star was their biggest hit,
Yeah.
and that was
Right
for the
knows what I'm talking about. Five Iron Frenzy was one of the Christian ska bands.
All Star was actually for the Mystery Men soundtrack. Do you
Yeah,
remember
Walking on the Sun was also a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, the music video for
Well, Bride is
All-Star.
pretty old, so that makes sense that she knows.
Oh
that
wow,
stuff.
dropping that when she's quitting smoking. That's a dangerous game, man. Slender, you're playing Russian roulette.
She's older than I am.
Also,
Until
once saw them in
April.
a church. Mystery Men is awesome. It's underrated. I loved it. It was actually ahead of its time for spoofing. Kind of the
Mystery Men is
superhero
still one of
genre.
my favorite movies. I freaking love it.
Yeah, with the shoveler. I'm
Yeah,
the
I don't know if
Blue
you
Raja.
noticed, but I dropped a quote from Mystery Men while we were watching Madam Web. When he was explaining to her how she could use all her powers, and I leaned over to
Is
little
if
chat.
you
and
do
I'm
not
like,
master
yeah, but
your
why
powers.
am I wearing watermelon on my feet?
Oh yeah, the bowler. If you do not master your powers will master you. You're just saying random.
Until you can balance the attack hammer on your head, you will be unable to head off your opponents with a balanced attack.
Oh, Godzillionaire, you came in a little late. Yes, we went and saw it yesterday, knowingly that it was going to be a terrible, terrible movie, so that we could just share it with you. YouTube really needs to combine the chats when you simulcast. Yeah, they don't show up in both chats. They show up for
They
us.
show up back here for us.
For us. So yeah, so we try
Yeah.
to share it.
We
It's not
see
YouTube
everything
that's
you guys
doing
are
it,
saying
it's
about each other,
StreamYard.
and to be quite perfectly honest, it's probably best you don't see what the people in the other channel are
This
saying
is
about you.
this is clearly a clue that Awesome One may have also seen Madam Web. Did you learn
Yes,
there was?
I learned CPR. I learned that apparently you no longer check the airway or
You
do
just do
any sort of
compressions.
vital
All you
check.
do
You
is
just
compressions.
immediately start breaking the rib cage. Just immediately break the rib cage.
And it'll bring you back from anything.
I don't even know what Bride of Slender is agreeing with. Doc Comrade.
I don't.
Well, Godzillionaire, it's because I'm simulcasting. This is their show. If you check the pinned comment at the top of my chat, that's the link to the actual show.
Embers hey, on their chat. Squeeze my water.
Squeeze my melon.
And with that, we are going to end it. Good night, everybody.